rather warm in here, and I guess we can get this fan working in the back. But it'd be great too, Ron, if we could see a brother man can open up some of those windows on the side. Maybe they got cages on, because the children are animals, you know, the way they see them. But we appreciate you. Now, we don't want to open up the door. We appreciate you all coming out, and we very much appreciate Bernie Backus being willing to have Brother Steve here in the auditorium. And I don't even know the brother's name who was kind enough to process our applications, but I appreciate him. I gave this lecture because I was a little worried. And all of the empty chairs only further verify that maybe I'm in the wrong town. Actually, if you have a certain specialty, but there isn't much need for it, I shouldn't say that strike. There's no desire for it. There might be much need for it, but it might not be any desire for it. That maybe I might be in the wrong spot, and I might need to go where people need the help the most. I watched as the Financial Control Board came down. Nobody called. I mentioned recently I did a radio show with Malama Farika in Los Angeles. And on the show, I told them that the reason I was in L.A. during the African Liberation Day weekend, which was just after the Malcolm X Day weekend, was that it doesn't appear to be any role for Brother Coakley in these parts of the country. When they had the Malcolm X Day out there at the Killingworth Park, or wherever that was, they must have had 50 speakers giving tribute to Brother Malcolm X. But nobody saw fit for Brother Coakley to even qualify to be one of the top 50. There was not no room for Brother Coakley in the top 50 people on Malcolm X. Now, I don't know what many of the other people do. I know a couple of years ago I saw Sharon Pratt Kelly receive the Malcolm X Award. And I asked the people who was putting it on this year, would you give it to her again this year? Probably, if you could go for it. Then they had African Liberation Day coming. Now, I just said, damn, I just know Brother Coakley sitting in the dugout. He all in the bullpen and shit, throwing fastballs, warming up. I just know it's African Liberation. Brother Coakley going to get a call because, you know, maybe the brother kind of in liberation a little bit. Maybe the information that brother produced on the table, maybe it might be just a little value. Maybe it might be just a little different than what we usually talk about. And then again, they had 50, 70 speakers at African Liberation Day, but there was no call for Brother Coakley because they don't perceive Brother Coakley as being in African liberation. Or maybe it is that the liberation of Malcolm X and the liberation for African people are controlled projects. That maybe only certain types of people can play certain types of roles so that the wrong fox don't get caught in the white hen house. Because surely this is about white people. I know with no African on their own, just look over at Brother Coakley and say, nah, we ain't got no spot for him. And I see it even got so bad for African liberation, even though cooperative agreement was made with the police that black people couldn't sell on their own liberation day. Damn, and then I thought we won the election. It's amazing that the punk mayors had it and Brother Mayor wouldn't. Maybe I'm just paranoid. So I had to give some serious consideration to whether or not this is the brother's spot. As you can see, I listened to WOL all day today, just to get a kind of feel for the people. I heard Brother Bay 2-3 times. I heard Fannie Williamson, a sellout from the Planned Parenthood, talk about United Nations is good for black people. We need to go with the global thing. And I didn't hear nobody say fuck Rockefeller. I didn't hear nobody even say where it come from or what's interest to it to us. I just heard how good it was and how we need to get with it. I listened to Ben Shaver say a Million Man March. And I heard how we're bringing everything together. And some of the people can come together. Again, these are controlled liberation projects, and certain foxes can't get caught in in the white man's house. I did an education conference a couple of weeks ago with myself and Jesse McDade, who wrote at Howard University, our elder sister, Sister Karen. Sister Karen. What's the name of that sister hosted us for that education conference at Howard? Sister Mary Cooper. She's a, Hoover, yes, right, Mary Hoover. She's a good sister. She's been kicked out of everything at Howard Short, still keeping her professorship. And it was a conference on education. And they had Brother Oberdelli and Jesse McDade, and there were some other people on this who were activists with the school board and this and that. And I listened to everybody talk about whether the white man gave us Title I and Title 12 and did this here. And when the white man does this, and will it be privatization or will it not? It just went on and on and on, and I leaned over and almost threw up. Because everything I heard them say all depended upon the white man. It was when the white man does what the white man supposed to do, then we're going to do it, then we're going to go forward. And I tore my little speech up, and I turned to them and I asked, could I cut a hole in their fence? Because I actually believe that there's no need having a brother who's dedicated his life to liberation when don't nobody want to get liberated. See, again, you be adopting somebody sick, saying, brother, I'd rather die than get treatment. And I can accept that. And that's important that we understand that we can live through the people's realities. So that's why we wanted to have the lecture tonight. And long as I've been in this town, they ain't been but one group ever called me up and asked me to do anything for them. Kind of like, you know, I even heard some niggas who be doing Marcus Garvey at the office. They don't want to do Marcus Garvey at the Boulay because they don't know it. They don't want nothing they don't know. They still waiting to form coalitions and say, brother, before you get down this town, you got to get with the coalition. Well, damn, buddy, ain't shit left. While y'all waiting to form a D.C. been gone down the tube. But I kind of wonder if the people saw it or not. Maybe there's still something going on. Now, I knew that. And I remember the article. Some of you may or may not. When Barry and Barry went and got in that newspaper and hugged that white man. Right after the election. Y'all remember that? Right. But that was the day he went to Ward 3. He repudiated everything black. That's right. Oh, I'm so glad to be mayor. Oh, white people, we done worked this out. And they was in the back room saying, this damn dumb motherfucking nigga think we gonna kiss his ass, strip that nigga of everything, as we all say, the emperor ain't got no clothes. And they said, give him a minute, they'll take some money. Now you know the feds jumped all over him and Cora Mastersbury a couple of months ago. Where's that investigation at? You know where it is? It's over in the bullpen just waiting to come out. Oh, it's coming out. Oh, it's coming. But it's only coming when it's in the white man's interest for it to come. If they give you up, they'll put it away. Same day they got Bubba Clinton. This is a white male town. They got Clinton white male on one end, they got Barry white male on the other. As Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole talk about the destiny of D.C. Talk about you're going to be a model white city. You might have thought they said a model city. But I walk around parts of D.C. down there on 18th and M where that Gusty's restaurant is and go to different parts of downtown. White people act like you ain't even here. They're down there with no pressure at all. Even the little brothers know not to go in certain parts of D.C. and cause trouble. How can you all live in such restrictions? Or did you know where the fence was all along and just won't call it a fence? I'm scared of you. I'm scared that one day the hunky's gonna come busting through my door and jack me up, maybe have to kill me and my family because they know D.C. ain't gonna back nobody up. There's no backup in D.C. This is not a town where the militants need to be right now because the signal is, white man, you can fuck any of us up. We don't care. I don't even know what we into around here. I mean, I don't know what people do every day. I don't know what people think about as they watch the city go down the tubes. I almost think they're immune from feeling that they're brilliant. You know when we showed that recolonization of Africa stuff and showed that big hand with the little black hands reaching up to it, and I'm talking about they're going to recolonize Africa? And the recolonization program is worldwide. It's here too. So I thought I'd go back a little bit. I've talked with you a long time on many occasions, and I don't really have much more I can say about the white man. I have put on tape and on videotape more than any black man ever in the history of this country on the white man. You can walk through any organization you can think of. You can stand up any individual you can come up with. They ain't one in this country in its history to put on that table what brother has put there for you. And that table is a culmination of all of your work. Because you have brought me the things that I brought back to you in the theme. Those are your things on the table. Even tonight, people bring me those packages of information that I sit and study as you make me a culmination of you. But African Liberation Day, not us, Bob. Malcolm X Day, not us. I remember standing up and telling the people about how Alex Haley informed on Malcolm X on page 418 of the autobiography. Hundreds of people read the damn thing, millions of people read it, but couldn't nobody read through it. And I said Alex Haley informed on Malcolm X, and on page 418 he tells how he does. And we put so much pressure, we hunt Alex Haley down, wait for him to come to LA, and whoop, he dies. Probably just accident. Probably just a coincidence. But I know for a long time a lot of people were comfortable about what they did. I have to say it, but last week's News Dimension followed up in this week's News Dimension has a phony story in it entitled Farrakhan Cleared in the Investigation of Malcolm X's Death. That's a phony story because the people who cleared him weren't investigated. It got real quiet in there. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the investigation ain't over. The articles didn't have the pertinent information in it. It was a decoy. In fact, that made me step up a little harder in some people's butts. Because I saw psychologically they have the need to be removed of past sins. On the tape I got back there called Counterinsurgency Then and Now. I talked about a radio show Milana Kareem and I had in Los Angeles on March 31st, on the anniversary of the assassination of General Khalid. And in that little discussion, we had a little backdrop on the 60s. Many people in the 60s who spied on black people resurrected in the 90s as leaders. And because you don't keep score, they know you don't keep score. You ain't got no combination of people's behavior. Where did Eleanor Holmes Norton come from? Who brought her into the political system? Who sponsored her through the NAACP? Nobody but Nelson Rockefeller. So when she rushes out to sell the city's ass down the drain, y'all ain't locked up what, not one time yet. Y'all even greet her and give her honor and think she's doing a great job for turning you over to the hunter. Now, brother's a little bitter. I'm not the guy that be standing around for enthusiasm and rejoicing. Because I just don't have no more of that shit left up in my body. My body is drained on the weight of our inability to respond to the rise of evil. And it ain't everybody's job to make the move, so when the call go out, everybody wants to answer it. I waited a long time to see D.C. emerge. I'm not from here. You know, I'm from Chicago. When niggas used to come to Chicago and sell us out, we had a bunch of niggas come out of Arkansas. You know, it's lines. People come here from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. People come to Chicago from Arkansas, from Mississippi, Alabama. They got these corridors. People from Texas go up to L.A. Well, we used to look up in Chicago. Every nigga that cut a quick deal to sell us out of Chicago come from someplace else. So they even had a pain and the pressure that the people had that prevented them from selling out because they knew the history. So we used to put pressure on niggas who come to Chicago to sell it out. And when somebody wanted to be for Chicago, we make them sit down and learn the history first. Mr. Farrakhan, he said the learning was he come to Chicago. A bunch of people come to Chicago. City Council and to use the skills that I have about a municipal body. I know a hell of a lot about reading budgets, knowing where trapdoor accounts are. I know a lot about funding things. I know a lot about resurfacing streets and changing light bulbs and paving curbs and building block clubs and putting up summer things for children. I know a lot about those things, but I ain't got no way to give them to D.C. D.C. ain't asked for them, and D.C. ain't looking for it. So I ain't been wanting to go down to the city council and stand there and use it to defend the people. And when John Wilson died, I watched him real closely. Ain't but one more that takes back there, but I said real clearly, I came here and told you about what happened to Harold Washington, that they could take down one man and take a town. And the other day when I was on Ernest White's show, I talked about how when the budget was, the deficit was $100 million, and it was Sharon Pratt Kelly running against Marion Barry. And then all of a sudden Barry wins, and the deficit climbs up to $250 million. Barry believes he can go solve the crisis. He goes to New York. They give him a big old check for $250 million, J.P. Morgan and Company. And he thought he really had it covered. And the same people that ordered this shit for $100 million turned it into $250 million. Once he resolved the crisis, they upped the budget deficit to $722 million, and then said, nigga, go out there and get that. But where were you? I don't mean you, but I do mean us. Where were we at? Why ain't nobody been to jail for missing money? How come ain't nobody even up against the wall sweating nothing for missing money while children lose access to health care, you lose access to food, lose access to other things? Here's a damn punk, little sissy-ass Julian Dixon, sell out nigga from L.A. Gonna get up there the other day and tell D.C., you better hurry up and privatize. That means let the hunky come in here. Ain't nobody ain't no, well, we better hurry up and get with it. Then Barry Wheeler comes out, he's yes to anything the hunky say. He comes out and says, well, I'm for limited takeover of the schools. By them same hunkies took over Baltimore, where punk man Smoke selling the people out. And Baltimore is just as bad, worse even. I don't believe y'all. I mean, deep in my soul, I don't believe y'all. Ain't nobody been punk like this since New York in '75. So you can take out a Harold Washington and get Chicago. John Wilson is the only black man who knew enough about the city finances that all this bullshit over the deficit would have been blocked by one man. Yeah, no yeah. Check or no check? Yeah. So the one man that knows the bottom line on the money, everybody agrees hands down, you got the knowledge. See, that's why I'm worried about them coming through my door. Because when you got the knowledge and you're lonely in D.C., you'll be dead in a minute. No, I'm telling you, this is some scary shit. Oh, yeah. And all those empty chairs only better. You couldn't get but one person in town, Ernest White, even trumpet the thing that we was coming this way. I listen to them niggas all day today. They would be frightened to stand up and say, you better come see Coakley. Because they know the brand of leadership they bringing you is to sell your ass down the lane. The hunkies had already told them they gonna cover them. I listen to ladies say, ooh, I'm so happy. I wish they got me a new townhouse. Listen, they're talking about today how you can wish up things you want. Why won't the hunky just disappear? I'm messing up on that. But I'm scared, y'all. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I ain't scared. I'm angry. I ain't scared of shit. I'm as weak, you start applauding, I'll be just as perturbed as if you said nothing. So y'all understand me and my unableness to be able to accept the applause because so much little has done. I remember a sister called me earlier today. She said, will you be on the program to honor Francis Wells Wilson? I said, no. Because when I was on my ass getting attacked in Chicago, she came to me and told me to sell out to the Jewish people. And she did the same thing to Malik Zulu Shabazz when he was attacked here in D.C., just to let you know the formula's good. And when she sees me right now, she'll look right at me and walk away, walk on the other side of the street. Not because brother's wrong, I'm going to show you Brother Copley being fired and thrown out of Chicago. And they left me for dead. You'll see all the people standing up there with me. They left me. Because they thought the hunky was going to come down here and get me. But I told them the hunky going to fuck with them first. I came here. I don't know some of you all are new around, but you might remember. I remember we had a program one night called Trick or Treat, Halloween Trick or Treat, the Blackburn Center. I even found that tape. Samuel Getty was there. Must have been 1,000 people jammed in there. Funny thing happened with DC. Every time I had a big lecture, the money disappeared. First big lecture I had in was with Baba Zulu. Money disappeared. First big lecture I had at Howard, first 1 and 2. Money just disappeared. Go here to Blackburn Center, it's 1,000 people at $5 a head. When I get the money, it's $546. Enough to pay for my hotel. I got nothing. But that's all right because I said, DC, I see the people really need the information. I'll go ahead, skip the money, just have another chance to go deeper. And then we would fill up I remember I walked you through some of these meetings and some of the days we filled up every room in this house and how fast they cleaned us out of those rooms and moved us on. And how the people who supported us one day ran from us another day. When the pressure on their doorstep got too high, they wasn't even the one doing it. And they still backed down. So I'm going to walk you through some of the things I came to talk to you about. Some of the sayings I brought to you. Some of the things we learned since we've been together. Then we're going to talk about where we're going from here. I made a list of cards. All of these cards got little sayings on it. Things I say in the lectures, things I say in the tapes, many of them that you know. What's your mother's maiden name? There's no law to protect a black man from a
white man on a mission.
White man with a mission. The white man is the motorcycle and the boule is the
sidecar.
It's the sidecar. 100 virgins will whip 100 any day. 0.1% of the population control 72% of the wealth. The trial of the ain't nobody come to you about neutralizing no oath takers as a way to get black liberation. Ain't nobody even conceived the oath takers as the formula to stopping black liberation. Ain't nobody stood up in no meeting and asked no secret society to share the secret handshake with a brother to show that they with the brother, not with the society. Ain't nobody even calculated that back to you. Ain't nobody got no analysis on wealth. Ain't no Negro out here talking to you about anything got an analysis on wealth. How can you help black people less wealth than just the analysis? Yeah. And what was the analysis? 0.1% of the people got 72% of the wealth, which means that 99.9% of the people have to split what? 28 cookies, that's right. You know the lesson. I remember this one. It was called a Ben for a Ben. That was the shift between Ben Hooks and Ben Shavers. And I said then that Ben Shavers would last 17 months in NAACP. I don't have it in the tape here, but the damn Army Spy System tape that I made in New York with David Whitehead, on that tape, that was the night he was announced. I announced that he wouldn't last 17 months, he'd last 16 months. The happy little wants some more? Thank you. Check. The three MJs.
Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Magic Johnson. And just as a word to you, two of them done come back already. All three of them was down in one moment. And I said something about putting the MJs down. Now you see Michael Jackson. I'm gonna stop talking against him. Because I know the little boy now want to fight the hunky, even if he got to sleep with one. I know that the boy want to fight the hunky. When I just left Dallas, people came to me with a stack of letters, said Michael Jackson wants Steve Coakley in Neverland to develop a program to fight against hunger. But this is Neverland to me. And I can't leave you to go there for money. So we're going to have to work something out. But the boy want to put his money up to get revenge. Chew me, sue me. Right. Michael Jordan didn't come back to play basketball. Now he's leading the brothers out to take back the basketball union because they ain't getting fair representation. Right. So now his little slap with the hunkies all used up. He ain't got no more love for the white man. Funny how time has changed. But we're still here. And we're still serving as more jump across the line, Brother Dave. Hey, y'all remember what's white knowledge? Can I play you for you? Savage. Show you right. That was about Larry Bird asking Michael Jordan, hey, let me play you for your Big Mac. Off the wall, off the freeway, and off every damn thing else. Nigga, give me your food. You know the story? Jordan puts up his burger, but Larry Bird don't put up nothing. That's white knowledge. But my 10-year-old had to tell it to me. I'm scared of the adults. With some of the people who are in this room, we need what against non-black businesses?
Thank you.
Economic sanctions against non-black businesses. No
November 1st to February 1st.
No frivolous buying. And we still got Negroes out here masking. Somebody called me the other day, Brother Roland, asked me if I wanted to join the Coalition for Economic Sanctions. I said, Sister Mia, please sit down. You cannot run something that's not yours. But run it into the ground, yeah. As we stood up and watched, who picked up, I watched Malik Zulu Shabazz throw it out in this campaign. Using it to impress people to get 370 votes. Him and Raheem Jenkins and Mark Thompson, they all over there, they community people, couldn't get 500 fucking votes together. Yeah, don't nobody want to tell people in this town you trip over your ego before you trip over the white man. Brother Yehuda, don't they? Exactly. That's right. Y'all excuse me, I don't feel too good tonight. I'm a little sick. Probably gonna be a good lecture. We got some white knowledge. With the help of a couple of people in this room, can whites build a constituency for Africa? No. C-Pain Lucas and Randall marching on. Here's a nigga walking over all of the hunkies to march on Nigeria who won't give the damn oil, crude, windfall profits to Rockefeller's ass to pay him back for debt. See, when the Persian Gulf War went up, a lot of boats got their tide risen. So they sitting up with that high-grade crude. So when oil went from $25 a barrel to $50 a barrel, Nigeria's money went up too. So Rockefeller turns to Japan, you better pay me. Nigeria, you better pay me, or you ain't a Randall. We gave you the Ford Foundation grant, we gave you the Rockefeller Foundation grant. Get your ass out there and walk on Nigeria. But boss, Coakley and the other ones, no, I can never walk on Nigeria and not walk on you. Said, but he ain't but one man and we got everybody closing him off anyway, so go your ass on out there. We'll support you. So now they over there, wrote that little fake South African shit. 3 niggas on the list, signed up. Remember I told you about that? The niggas was over there on Connecticut Boulevard with 3 people on the list. So that when the police show up, they know what 3 people supposed to be arrested according to the script. And then they looked up, I told you about my friend who jumped over there with Stevie Wonder and John Conyers and Eleanor Holmes Norton, and they looked down on the list and said, threw his ass back. Because he wasn't in the script. And then they talk about Mandela, them free South Africa, and white people controls 97% of the money. What the fuck? We ain't shit. Am I a damn dummy or something? go where we all going.
Yeah.
Fucking, we supposed to be so damn stupid that they can run Ebola on Hot Zone, run Virus as a movie, run Outbreak, and then 2 weeks later the shit show up. They don't even have no respect for us no more. Here come action time. It was a year ago right now. All of y'all told me y'all was coming to the Boule Convention. And that's when I found out the truth about you. That's when I found out that even though you don't like none of the shit we ever talked about, you ain't got the courage to come up and conflict with a person over it. You ain't got no values, and conflicting is worth testing. And how you gonna build some muscles unless you lift some weights? Beat these niggas ain't shit. Because we got some hunkies who are violent, who we got to deal with after them. We got to get past them niggas to get the right to get to the hunky. And here come 10 people, Brother Bruce, and 9 more, Brother Hebrew, and 9 more people. 2 of them from out of town. It ain't but a 40-minute drive from here to Baltimore, then the 4 people from Baltimore come. We all in Crampton Auditorium, everybody telling me they coming. And they didn't come. And that's when I knew you. I knew you a little better then. Because I know it's something weird about D.C. You might not pick it up, but let's go back. What did Brother Copley say? Intention plus capability equal? Threat. Ain't nobody ever come to you with highly intelligence community monitors, networks, and groups. Ain't no black so-called leader, educator, or clarifier had a need to teach you about the intelligence system because they ain't crossing it. I'm telling you, if you were to sit down and pull through the science of what was there, these were things that were laid to get us to a certain spot. Spy System 2000, the targeting of the poor. Future goals of the spy system, the early warning officer. What's that syndrome I said we need to put on the early warning officer? What do we need to do to trip up the early warning officer? The cry wolf syndrome. Meaning that we didn't ever have no calculation for the guy who sits up all day and receives the informant reports and then makes decisions about what they need to do based on the intelligence reports. We ain't never calculated about tripping this guy up. We ain't even had no discussion about him till Brother Copley ever. I can't get 150 people out of me. But I watch you stand with all those others who tell me ain't shit. And I just ain't been able to square this away deep in my soul. I remember talking about the clash of civilizations. When the white boys went away in that magazine and said we down to the last 7 or 8 entities that are going to fight for world control. And what did it say for Africa? And possibly in Africa will be there to fight. But everybody rolled over. You got the tape? It was as if it wasn't an action project. It was just a dialogue. I remember giving a lecture on the Trilateral Commission. While they were meeting here in D.C., couldn't get 5 people there. I made that lecture $1. Couldn't get 5 people up in the Blackburn Center. I don't even know what the fuck Trilateral is. It comes right here. G7 comes right here and meets. Right doing Oklahoma bombing. Ain't 5 people wandering around downtown trying to cause trouble. When they should be. Hunky up in here doing real smooth. He ain't even worried about nothing. What's the #1 black power organization in D.C.? Holler it out.
Ain't none.
Ain't none.
Well, think about it a second. Compulsory education is
Mandatory strangulation.
mandatory strangulation. Now I'm sitting up here watching something funny happen. As they take the housing department from Marion Barry, as they set up the financial control board and take it from Marion Barry, as they go up there and snatch the welfare department from Marion Barry, they give them the school system in a trade-off. They even take the housing department from Mayor Daley in Chicago. What do they give them? They give them the school system as a trade-off. Because the city councils in both bodies were pro-rata, they had to pass the school board's budget, though they had no control over the insides of it. It was a pro rata responsibility, meaning you had to do it. And in Chicago, when we didn't do it, the state forced us to do it. Probably don't mean nothing. But Frank Smith needed his ass kicked. No, Mary Berry needed his butt whipped too. Oh yeah, well, see, ain't no way Armstrong Williams could walk around no town. Feet ain't broken, face ain't fucked up, arm ain't off his head, finger saw still on his hand. Come on, DC, a nigga can raise a punk in here. They raise punks here, send them all over the country. Miles, remember Kathy Hughes sending on her defending that little punk ass sellout Armstrong Williams. She turns around a couple of months later, act like she didn't even bring it to us. Everybody in D.C. doing bad, and she doing good. You ain't figured it out yet. Y'all scared. I'm really worried for my family. I feel very vulnerable here. I don't feel like you come to my house to defend me. So I'm going to have to set up camp outside my house and go on the offense a little bit and start fucking with some people to get some room so we can nurture some more people. So we gotta do it. Let's do it for a part. I appreciate you. The paganization of Kim. I told you, as I watched The Nation of Islam pump that New World Order by Epperson, pump that Pale Horse by Cooper, and all of the little white books that said Osiris, Horus, and Isis was pagan worship, was devil worship, while he gave you information about FEMA, and gave you information about this and that, UFOs, and a bunch of other stuff. And I said it was all leading to something. And then here comes Stockton. That go 11 million people out to see Ra, the evil sun god. And then I know a bunch of niggas in this town. I remember when I had a fight with Sister Karen, who used to have her programs right here, who was an ASCAP. And I stood up and said ASCAP was a punk and a sellout. That these blacks had chosen to go work on Kemet to avoid fighting with the hunky. And I told them the hunky gonna come to your field even though you running. And then the hunky lands on the Kemet thing and fucks Kemet all up. And ain't one Kemetologist come out here and stop these hunkies from paganizing us, which allow a white Christian to kill you. Even though he liked Michael Jordan, even though he liked Michael Jackson, even though he liked Magic Johnson, he'd kill you because you were pagan. It's the hungry versus the righteous. Let me see here. Got a whole stack of them. Okay. Here's one you might or might not remember. Time in equal time out. If you don't put 12 hours and 1 minute into black liberation, we're not going to win. Because time in equals time out. If we don't put enough time in the struggle, we won't ever win it because we didn't dedicate enough of our time to win it. You need 12 hours and 1 minute in versus 11 minutes and 59 minutes, 11 hours and 59 minutes out. That's the formula for victory. Now look into your life and see if it's after work or on the weekends or a couple of times a month. And when you wonder when victory coming, it's when your day changes only. Because if your day don't change, don't worry about nobody else. Time in equal time out. The white man wins because he's violent. In the Oklahoma bombing, since Oklahoma bombing, they had over 70 evacuations of D.C. buildings based upon threats of bombs. Do you know why? Because the white man know it ain't you. If it was you, he wouldn't stop shit. But the white man's got to fight with other white men, and he knows white men are violent. So he evacuates some buildings every time he gets a call from the white man. The FBI building, Treasury Department, the Union Station of whites. Right. Hey, bees! Remember that? Hey, bees! That's a lecture I gave at Rutgers about the inferior people, white people. The white man was like Dracula. He operated in the night. As soon as the light hit him, he was weakened. Had to reduce himself back to the cave. Then we talked a little bit about how to suck the white man out of the cave. How to put him in a position to defeat him. You won't win white people when they're braced down like this, ready to fight. You got to suck them up on their hands and their legs and make them get all out after you like that. Then you trip them over. Then you knock down the one leg they're standing on. But you got to go how to get them up like an elephant at a circus. Big white man. You can get him up on his hinds. Then you attack him. But you got to get him up. Getting him up has to be a strategy. I told them niggas they was going to lose affirmative action because they didn't know what it was. They didn't know how to use it and was so busy stuffing their pockets with the affirmative action good money that they didn't have time to educate the people on why they needed to defend it. So it went down and you saw no one come to defend it. I ain't never going to benefit by it no way, but for those who needed it, they deserve to have a right to it. Or white man got this thing, I told you he was going to turn this thing around. He got the thing turned around and now he the victim. You see what the leadership has done? They didn't let the white man get away, such that the white man, after years of perpetrating all this evil colonialism, now he's on the docket as the victim. So now we're going out of our way to assist the white man. What, to get the last 3% of the world we don't have? I remember coming here in my early moves talking to you about skull and bones at Yale as Bush was the president. And I took you through those Masonic temples as we went over there to the George Washington Masonic Temple and saw the crossbones, skull and crossbones on the apron that Lafayette gave George Washington. I couldn't tell you how many copies of America's Secret Establishment, an introduction into the order of skull and bones, I've been sold for the booksellers. Brother Copley sells a lot of books because the people do want to find the footprints of the information. It's the leadership will not develop a vessel that the little people can work for other people with. I hear a lot of people being asked to get in stuff, but I know ain't nobody really wanting to be in it, and to be a part of it. They want to treat them like cattle. Go over there and do this. Yeah, I guess the lights will be out in a minute. Okay. Check the cable. Okay, maybe we'll try this down. There we go. Sorry about it. We talked about, on the skull and bones, we talked about the white boys laying in the coffins, saying their rituals in mud, dancing and busting each other's booties, laying in the mud and stuff. And I told you to imagine George Bush wrestling in the mud with another white man, naked. Ugh, that's right. I told you about how the white boy put the skulls on the table and told the initiate which one is the rich man and which one is the poor man. And the initiate looks all over the skulls, trying to tell the difference, and he says, I can't. And he said, that's why you will steal, rob, and cheat while you're on earth, because when you're dead, won't nobody tell what you were. To try to describe to you about why the white man snatches, steals, robs, and cheats, and murders and rapes right now. Remember I told you what Albert Pike said in that book, Beyond the Lodge Door, when Albert Pike said, trust no one who believes in heaven, for they'll acquiesce with hell while they're on earth. People still tell me they're appealing to the white man's better senses. None of you but one man, only one man has ever sat down and briefed Brother Copley on the Greater Washington Board of Trade. Y'all heard of them? Fuck y'all. Y'all heard of them? Get it up. Y'all heard of them? I mean, if you ain't, we're going to have a meeting on you. How many of you all know what the Greater Washington Board of the trade. And how they run D.C. 3 people. How many of you all heard of the federal city council that really control roads, the airports? The mayor don't do shit in this town when I really looked at the stats. White men got control bodies all over this town, running things quasi, and ain't no radio show. Ain't no weekly newspaper. Expose these hunkies living good all up behind the scenes. But I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who are here to tell them, you better tell them hunkies up at the greater Washington Board of Trade, I'm going to rake their ass all up and down D.C. I'm going to rake that federal city council's ass all up and down D.C. You can tell them, I told you tonight I'm going to rake it because you need these people. You need to know who they are, and you need to have a power mechanism to neutralize where they're taking you. What is the damn D.C. City Council doing but running for shit? A year ago, everybody was running for some shit. Then they couldn't even beat the fucking ass white boy, David Clark. Couldn't even beat him. All of them together wouldn't even get one man or one woman versus the hunky. And I knew where he was going to be. The day I did the John Wilson lecture, I said they're probably going to get a white man. And here comes somebody standing up saying, oh yeah, I believe in Dave Clark. He's a good white man. He used to be here before. Can a black man be a Kurt Snow? As I was going to Baltimore, they kept fucking with me up in Baltimore. The mayor, Kurt Snow, who sits on the Trilateral Commission, who hosted the last Boule Conference, who's a Rhodes Scholar and come up out of Yale University, worked hard to block Brother Copley. I got a lecture scheduled in Baltimore, July 15th. We done already had to move the spot twice because they didn't crack down on the people getting them little social service grants. They just said, we can't have Brother Copley. They got 20 fucking hunky Israeli mayors coming to the place. I was going to have my lecture in Baltimore, and they said, Copley, we can't have you, so we can have the hunkies. And I have to stand up and serve with that kind of dialogue. And we confronted Kurt Smoke. There's a couple of copies of that tape down there. About that day, we walked his ass and, come on, Kurt, what the fuck you doing with Cecil Rhodes? Walked his ass in a circle. Made that nigga dizzy. He thought we was gonna whip his ass. But from the day I confronted him, he has fought my ass tooth and nail every inch, because he know he won't ever got his face. Sharon Pratt Kelly ain't suffering shit because she fucked y'all up. Y'all know where she lives, don't you, on 16th Street? Y'all ever went down this alley with money? Because this is the time of non-confrontation. I'm scared for my family. Can I cut a hole in your fence? Do you really want to leave the plantation? Right. Tell me so I can go where I'm leaving. I might be in the wrong spot. And I ain't got no problem with that. There are many people who would appreciate it. Right. We are out to pursue the core of negativity. What did I say is behind the curtain? Who's behind the curtain? Who's behind the curtain? The wizard is. That's right. And we're going to follow the yellow brick Cecil Rhodes. That's right. Ain't nobody talk to you about fucking with no Maine honky. These niggas out here, we want to have Million Man March. Well, who are you marching against, nigga? Right. These are niggas who fight without an enemy. You cannot win. You can't even have sex unless you know where the parks are.
Don't make sense.
Yeah, but they'll be out there. I'm going to be out there too. Recruit. Or I'm going to have programs all that week for the hardcore. Because the hardcore better emerge because the Haviluna wants some more. It's selling our ass down the drain. Niggas with $300,000 settlements running phony organizations with $4 million deficits. I belong, can't fool the people. Little people, you better get up. I don't give a fuck about the numbers. They'll take care of themselves. They'll sell their own ass when they need to. And I remind you there. They just said, well, send a nigga up there to catch him. Come on, nigga, I'll make you a sergeant in my army. Come on, Coleman, get your asshole up there. That Coleman Powell can bring his sellout ass to the middle of Howard University and 10,000 dumb graduating niggas will stand up and cheer for him. That might happen one day. Oh, it did? Got a lot of weight on my shoulders, black people. I'm worried. I'm worried for my family. What was it about the wizard that was holding us back? The wizard had OEO boys protecting him. You remember them? OEO. Oh. ATF. The DC police. The National Guard. Niggas arguing over having the National Guard in DC. Who said that? Who asked for the National Guard in DC? Who? Who? Yeah, she won the Malcolm X award. Couldn't have been her. Who was the niggas gave her the Malcolm X award? Come on now, let's see where you at. Who was the niggas gave Sharon Pratt Kelly the Malcolm X award? Who was that? Name the names. Who? Kimmy Hughes, he did that? He need his ass whipped. See, y'all ain't got no values you willing to fight about. I'll confront these niggas behind the scenes. They don't come up in my face. No, they going to get the white man to bring him to my door because them niggas know I got the tenacity in my ass to fuck them up to get to the hunky I'm after. We're going to get to that hunky. We're going to get the wizard because the wizard is up. The wizard is up. The wizard is up. But we got to get past them little munchkins, them little monkeys with the wings. The boulay! Ain't no man ever come to you and said there's a secret society of black men. Ain't nobody ever come and brought you no boulay. And you can watch me from the first day I brought it up in Morgan to the next time we tried it in Howard, to Brother Man getting the list out of Small and Spingard, to us then decodifying the Grecian Sphinx. Ain't nobody come to you like this. Ain't nobody even had it in their heart to bring to you the decodification of the secret societies because the liberation strategy of the other Negroes don't even have secret societies exist. I told you that a person can hide a secret society in the public. That the third base coach stands right there and pulls him down signals in front of the batter, in front of all of the stadium. Don't nobody know what he's talking about. Right. Going up into the moonlight meeting at Ritz-Carlton, Pentagon City, where Rockefeller was sitting there. You remember that lecture, The Secret Order of the Boulay? We did up in Crampton Auditorium with 400 people smashed in there with myself and Malik Zulu Shabazz, talking about what we found as we went up in there. Yeah, we went up. These hunkies know we want them. They're depending upon your desire to roll over as the guarantee that they ain't gonna get what God has in store for them. Now, what about all these preachers? How come when everybody got isolated from using Howard and everything else, it wasn't one preacher with one church who would stand up and say, God protects the walls of my temple, bring God's program inside? Not even Willie Wilson. And he got tons of backup from Rock Newman and Reddick Bowe, who pumped out there and got 16 motherfucking cars while you starved. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna confront these niggas for it. Motherfucking Rock Newman gonna give 50,000 to Betty Shabazz while you starve. Ain't got no black power. Go give it to New York. 16 Rolls Royces. Oedipus, the conspiracy to destroy black men. Many people have talked on that subject. There's nothing unique about it. The black Greek conspiracy. Our Greeks a tool of white supremacy. I laid down the oath, showed the Masonic oath, where the white boy said, will you reveal the secrets of a master mason? And the initiate says, my life but not the secrets. And I turned to you and said, that represented a great threat. Now here come the Million Man March, headquartered in Phi Beta Sigma. Research means to establish what is truth to the best of one's ability. Will you reveal the secrets of a master mason? My life, but not the secrets. I remember when Sister Nana said something in one of my programs, and I said it to you every time, especially at Nation House, when Brother Bruce hosted us. And there's some people in this room who have stood with me and saw to it that other people didn't do things to me, even when they wanted to. And people who support me, and I'm going to be, if they're willing, I'm going to say some of them while I'm talking. After the intermission, y'all decide if it's all right to say how much you help me. But many of you back me up. Sometimes it ain't even money, it's spirit. Sometimes it is money. Sometimes it's opportunity. Even Brother Vaughn, why would Brother Vaughn, a farmer, have to throw down $350 for the room, pay the money for this, and that, just to give Brother Copley a chance to talk to people who need help? A farmer, one guy, got to go over and do it, because can't get no invitation nowhere in the town. I must be pretty fucked up. I really must be pretty fucked up. My shit must be pretty weak. I must be quite a punk. It only looks like it is. Sister Nana said that white money in Africa have prohibited Africans from developing their own personality. And it was that formula about which we could watch. Negroes don't act right when they get white money. They act all weird and shit. I remember when the fake decoy issue called Sister Soldier at the Jesse Jackson Rainbow Coalition, where Clinton slaps her down to make himself look like a tough hunky. And all that time they were setting up roadblocks. And I had that lecture at the Blackburn Auditorium called DC in Trouble, Roadblocks and Other Diversions. And that's when Sister came down there and brought us those pictures about them building them fences around Potomac Gardens. And look what did happen a couple of years later. They then got black to fight black, and now the result is bringing in the police. Yeah, that's what we got. We got our own early warning system, and we can't act on it. Sister said she looked up the other day, and there was the policeman over there. They don't even walk around to protect the people. They sit in the car, sleep, getting overtime. But this is the first city in the country I've ever seen them cut the salaries of the fire department and the police department. Brother Von Bennett and I had a meeting in the Howard Inn, in the cafe, and then the fire marshals come in there and close us down. Move us over to the Langston room and close us down till we reminded them that the fire chief ate upstairs every day and that he must have oversaw that illegal room we were in. So it wouldn't be too smart to throw us out of that one. People have signs to say that room was okay. We knew someone had taken money. And we stayed in there that night. Couldn't get 8 people in D.C. to stand up because Brother Vaughn was going to risk his job to say they're closing the fucking firehouses. And people were going to die. Have any people died? You damn right they have. But we had the early warning. There was nobody to act on it because we ain't got no structure to act on it. There's nothing there that responds to the needs of the people, of big needing people. How much we done talked about, how many times I done asked who heads the IMF? I go all over the country and ask that, but it means more right here where the IMF is. Where the IMF at? 19th and what? Pennsylvania. Sister Tynetta will tell you about the number 19. When was the last demonstration at the IMF? Tomorrow morning. Thank you. bank robber tomorrow morning. Because as long as I've been here, I ain't never seen a nigga fuck around the IMF. I ain't never seen a nigga fuck around the World Bank. The most powerful white people in this country fuck the world right in downtown D.C. And D.C. don't go nowhere near there. They know not to fuck around. Some of this shit is pathological now. I mean, I wish Bobby White was still alive. He could tell you about that mental side. And he could tell you how black people ain't never fuck with white people because they ain't never been taught to. Let me hear you say fuck Rockefeller.
Fuck Rockefeller.
Well, if I was Rockefeller, I'd feel real happy because that don't sound too fucking to me. Let me hear you say fuck Rockefeller. That's a little better. Shit. Let me see your elbows. I told you that was how they got us. And this was how we was going to have to get it back. The Bogart. And they said, oh yes, no, there's no place for that nigga in this town. Yeah, he talking fight the hungry. The Bank of International Settlements, the Federal Reserve. I gave a lecture in Maryland. This little brother here brought me to Maryland every time he was there. This time they brought me there, Brother Brian, it took them forever to try to pay me. They let the people kick me around and treat me like shit. This brother brought me to Maryland. We did a lecture called Money, Banking, and New World Order. You still got that tape? Man, I need a copy of that tape. I can't find my copy of that tape. Money, Banking. We did another one called Global 2000, AIDS and Genocide. That was up there with some sisters. We did a couple of more lectures up there. I remember when I first come here, we was over at GW. We was over at University of Maryland. There was some good crews in that end. There was a crew ahead of Brother Brian, Brother Chico, and Brother Mark. We're in there holding down for Brother Coke. We had Brother Gene over at GW. Had me all up in the law court of GW. I remember Brother Malik brought me over to the Howard Law School, and the dean stood at the door and tried to stop me from coming in. There was no place in Howard Law School for Brother Coakley. We took our little crew. We had a little crew. We went down to Hampton. When I first got here, the first year I was here, went down to Hampton. The president of Hampton standing at the gate telling us we can't come on the campus. We went to Newport News, Virginia, in a theater, and the lights go out. We had to get a lecture by candlelight. Went to New York, and Alumni Brass stood up there and said, that nigga can't come in New York. He causes trouble. Go up there to the slave theater, 2,000 people packed in the room. Can't even do WLIB because David Dinkins told Percy Sutton that Coakley is a racial hater. Dinkins asked Farrakhan not to come to New York because he's going to win the election. Went to Philly. Had what I call now the Dale Jones rule. When I ask people, for example, if you want Francis Wilson to speak at your event, you better have thousands of dollars. You won't consider it without thousands of dollars. I always say, Baba, what can you do? What can you put up? What's fair based on what Dale Jones tell me, cultural bandit? We're going to have 100 people at $5 a head. We'll pay you $500. When I get there, 700 people at $10 a head. I got 500, they got 6,500. So now no longer do I say, I make them tell me how they go. I make proportional fees now. I can't let nobody just do me like he banded me, that he runs around the country culturally banded. This brother Deacon, the Know Thyself bookstore, said I'm going to run that nigga out of America. And some other little fake nigga called Cheapwood. Little punk little nigga. Stand up and say Coakley shouldn't be speaking against Jesse Jackson. He's a leader. Then they got a damn leadership summit down there in motherfucking Houston, and in Baltimore, in Chicago, and I see Cornel West in there. And I want to ask you, how many of you all are in Cornel West's organization? How many of you all can follow Cornel West? How many in here even like Cornel West? How many of you in here even believe Cornel West with black people? But he's at the Black Leadership Summit, sucking down all information for his hunky friend learner over at Tunkin magazine. They brought that bullshit all up in Howard. Yeah. Put it on C-SPAN even, because it was good bullshit. Did they have down a lot? never asked you to follow me anywhere until tonight. But to save my family, I'm going to organize me some shit tonight. Some of you will go forth and some of you won't. But this shit is going to pick up, and those who come in the beginning need to be the hardcore, because it will take that level of strength in the beginning. Everybody's not a starter. There's no way that we should have more support for economic sanctions against non-black businesses in a town of colonial life. When I came here and was on a forum, niggas were standing up telling me they wanted to be New Colombians.
What?
They was going to want statehood, and they was going to call themselves New Columbia. Ain't that some dumb shit? You going to be the plantation called District of Columbus, and you going to free yourself and call yourself New Columbus? Come on, Brother Mark. I wouldn't even sit on the stage with that bullshit. I wouldn't sit on the stage with no motherfucking LaRosa either. Never. But then maybe I'm just paranoid. Maybe I'm all hyped up and I'm all out of whack. And Brother Copley just wacko and you all are the same ones.
You read it right, Copley.
Oh, I might drop it, but they get tired, half of them falling asleep, the rest of them yawn. I know this shit is pretty boring. I know Brother Khalid Muhammad right now would be dead if it wasn't for Brother Copley and Brother Jamal and one or two other people. He'd be dead right now. Because all over the nation, they're killing the militants, like they did in the 60s when they went for Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Martin King, Malcolm X, and others. New wave of killing. That's why I fear for my family. And this brother went out there to that wall and looked up under the fence and said, oh, look at here, there's a hole in the fence. Looked up there and saw the shooter's nest. Yes. Beat the FOI, beat the FBI, beat the LAPD in investigating it. Found a whole lot of people involved, in and outside of the organization. Last weekend, Brother Khalid spent the weekend with Minister Farrakhan. You need to know that. It's the first time they've been together in a long time. But the reason that brother has the right to walk back in that door is that some people who wasn't even with him showed up to protect his life. Because ain't gonna be no more immature killing out here in the black community like we saw in Malcolm. I remember when the Negroes brought up the Memphis commercial appeal story and saturated D.C. What's his name? Barry at the News Dimension sold his ass to Kathy Hughes during the Memphis commercial appeal story. It was during that period that she did a lot for him. She sold 25,000 of the News Dimensions for 25 cents a piece out of her radio station. People lined up on 8th Street to buy that paper. And he ended up with 10 times more ads than he ever had and saved him in his breakaway from the capital spotlight. But the News Dimension, the capital spotlight, the Afro-American together don't have 1 ounce of investigation. Black newspapers do not do investigative stories. They do press releases. And then here comes the whole Memphis commercial appeal story. We look right through the story and find Emmett Scott, Helen Boulay, C.B. Ronan, Robert Church, a whole W.B. Du Bois, Spingard, the main spy, spying on black people. It was a Boulay connection. We couldn't even get it on the radio. That's when I got locked out. That's when Kathy Hughes told me that Boulay was a good organization. Though a week ago, she didn't even know what it was. It was a sellout. But then nobody called in and say, brother should be there. Everybody said, well, you know, brother's off there. He deserved it. You know, he ain't got no information. Talking all that shit. No, he didn't come to Miami. You let me lay there. It wasn't worth it to anybody. If I can tell me how bad it is, I ain't going, but ain't nobody fought to get me on.
Couple brothers called in, Steve.
They did, Baba. I did hear people call in and ask, even as late as a couple of days ago. And then the host do that. We've had it on before, Bernie McCain. I'd like to debate that nigga, Bernie McCain. He talks a lot of shit every day. I got something out there. If I could get any nigga in this town to debate me, I'd love it. They ain't gonna come nowhere near me. I couldn't get a one of them out of the challenge. to stand up on the stage and to fight Brother Copley over the issues before we fight in the street over the right to defend black people. Because I'm going to fight for the right to defend you whether you like it or not. And it may get me killed, but I ain't done. Check. White finance Negro leadership versus Marcus Garvey. Went away and pulled down Julius Rosenthal, hooks up with Rockefeller to get with the Jewish Anglo connection to assimilate while they built the new Negro, Elaine Locke. The first black Rhodes Scholar, W.B. Du Bois. The whole attack on Marcus Garvey. White finance Negro leadership against Marcus Garvey's back there on that table. Hey, Bob, you think this shit too hot for DC cable? All right, because this shit going on DC cable. A little bit. They don't stop it, it's going. Brothers here to put it there. Yeah, how they gonna act when it drops. Now they're gonna hear brother, you know the hunky sitting up looking at 25 and 16, seeing Brother Copley sitting up there in Boston talking a lot of shit about a black revolution. They ain't sleep. They know who to call on when they want confusion. The early warning system and the cry wolf syndrome. The cry wolf syndrome. How to trick the early warning officer into the false decoy. Yes, we're going to overthrow the DC government today, but we don't move. Yeah, we're going to jam the IMF and the World Bank tomorrow, but we don't move. Oh boy, keep dispatching extra people till his supervisor say, look, chump, we done spent $52,000 extra answering these threats that you done followed up on this Copley shit. They ain't gonna do a damn thing. So now the day we really gonna make a move. He's too scared to sound the alarm because he's afraid he'll get in trouble at his job. How do you figure a formula to trigger or neutralize the people who are responsible for analytically neutralizing you? Ain't nobody ever had no strategy for no early warning officer. 1979, 1980, 1981, I did the first 7 Saviors Days on the workshop called Counterintelligence. In there, I talked about an early warning system in Chicago that operated through the United Way. I came here to you in 1990, stood up on the first lecture, and brought to you about the early warning system that operated through the United Way. You remember that? We talked about the people who were designed to monitor developing racial tension and take advanced intervention when necessary. And I said the United Way was leading that week ago. The dude at the United Way who was fronting for the CIA had a girlfriend in an apartment, set up counterinsurgency all over America, gets tripped up. Now they don't need him no more. The counterinsurgencies are all set up. So they go and trip him up and sent him to jail last week. Did they? Yeah. But when I exposed that early warning system, who was in there but the ADL with the Urban League and Operation Push and the NAACP and the United Church of Christ and the Community Relations Service of the Justice Department and that one was Chicago, the Chicago Commission on Human Relations. Lined all them up. And who was in there but the ADL? 10 years later, they revealed ADL is spying on the communities. 10 years after Brother Copley early warned it. Will there be any niggas in the year 2000? Yeah. We're at 95 and it's looking tight. Check. Who's the #1 black futurologist in this country? Who's the #1 black man on studying the future for black people? Well, throw me out. I ain't nobody. Give me the name.
No name.
Nobody.
No name. Thank you. How come our president ain't so good? Because we ain't got no strategy for the future. I'm going to offer to you tonight a formula that I used in Chicago years ago. Brother Hebrew tried to steal from me called Grassroots 2000. And we're going to build us a little futures club. And to get into this meeting on the future, you got to bring an article on the future to get in. Don't get to the door and try to give me no money. I need your money. But that ain't how you going to get the futures meeting. You're going to have to bring some hunky plan on the future. You're going to have to bring some hunky magazine on the future. The future is the summer. Third wave or future shock or megatrend. You're going to have to bring some article in there about the future to get into this meeting. And you're going to study the future. We're going to build little youth to be futurologists so that they can advance the thinking of black people in a way that we won't have to be subjugated to the way we are now. The three-cluster theory of world power. United States. Bring it in.
Canada, Mexico.
And South America coming next, because that's the Council of America's meet Clinton had down in Florida. After they signed up, yeah, thank you. Over here are the Europeans. Remember, you're always supposed to dehumanize something before you kill it. Europeans. European is going to get what?
Russia.
That's up there. What's right here? This is Western Europe merges with
Eastern.
and then brings in
Russia.
and the Asian side of Russia goes over with Japan. Because Japan got Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, Azerbaijan, Cambodia, Vietnam, Korea, North and South. The three-cluster theory of world power. Ain't nobody had no theory about world power. Because they being black. You don't need no world power theory when you're a cultural nationalist. You just have culture.
Check.
And you can have all the culture you want as long as you don't fuck with no monkeys. Just like you can have a Harlem Renaissance instead of Black Africa with Garvey. And remember, Garvey was hated by the white man. Remember that philosophy of opinions I brought you that page 66? I went so deep into Tony Martin's work that Tony Martin had to tell me I found stuff he wrote he didn't remember he wrote. Where Marcus Garvey was buried in the diamond mine and fucking with Cecil Rhodes because he knew Cecil Rhodes was the enemy, and all these years later he done faded off the enemy chart. Marcus Garvey was called out the Rothschilds on page 66, called out the Rockefellers, called out the Carnegies, all these years later, niggas standing in line to get a grant from him. I'm getting tired. The Masonic connection. How many times I've been in that temple to the point that the hunkies run when they see me bringing somebody in there. Some of you have gone in there with me. You see how they act to me. They know me as one who wants them. And it is our divine responsibility to slay the beast. And we're going to get the beast.
Check.
The sweetest setup I ever seen of Jesse Jackson. The sweetest setup I ever seen of Jesse Jackson between sister and myself. Lining him up on Ernest White shirt. Y'all remember that? I've never really been to a meeting, but
I spoke at one.
y'all don't remember that? Yeah. Well, we jammed Jesse Jackson about his relationship with the Council on Foreign Relations, asking him to name a fucking enemy, and he goes way out. He's way the fuck out there in L.A. at the hospital, talking about black violence over Rodney King, and can't even name a fucking hunky. And then Brother Greg can go away and pull up page 122 of the Council on Foreign Relations annual report saying that a nigga can't even mention the meeting he was in. But his oath and his loyalty to the hunky is much deeper than his love for Brother Copeland. So I have to see his wife on the street. And she has to say bad things to me because I put pressure on the hunky for on her husband for selling out the black people to the hunky. Go quietly, ... Spiro Agnew, former governor of Maryland, whose statue just got put back in the State Assembly by Glendenning. Resurrected all these years, he kept his fucking mouth shut when Al Lane told him he'd fuck his ass up if he didn't resign from that presidency. Only Brother Copley brought you a series of white men's dialogues about being scared of other white men. And Andrew still lives. I'd love to talk to him. Palm Springs, California. You right. But he's still alive and he's still got his mouth shut. I did the lectures, coup d'etat #1, all up in the School of New Business Auditorium. 400 people packed in there, people all around the rim. I remember John Judge being way back up in the back room, and I wouldn't give him no respect because he was white. How many of you all was at that lecture in the School of the Auditorium that night? One person, 2 people, 3 people. Then we did coup d'etat #2, where we had a room in the Blackburn Center, and Brother Bay punked on us, and we lost our room. And the security man, the sergeant, who ain't here no more, got laid off, opened up another room for us so that we didn't get denied. Then he got up, things got out of control. Brother Copley couldn't be contained. Which would you rather have, a lying vegetarian or a truth-telling pork? The perpetration of false values. Nigga, you ain't no good because you eat pork. Nigga, I don't care what you eat. It's how you act with what you eat. That's important to me. If you don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat against another black person, I don't care what you eat. You live longer if you ain't better. But I ain't got no place for nobody who claims to be more pure because of what they did or didn't eat. And they act bad. Regular values. I stood you up, and my behavior will stand for it. That you cannot disrespect your woman. And everybody know you got a woman. Or a woman, you can't disrespect your man. Or a brother can't turn to another brother and say, Bruce, trust me on this. We got to do X, Y, and Z. And he got to walk away and say, she told his woman, he loves her. How could I trust him? You can't build a revolution on weak values. You need values.
Right. Check. Check.
What's the difference between a protest and a protest? The crisis in black leadership. Moderation of you know what? I was getting chills up my back, going back, putting together some of my old shit. There's a whole lot of themes in there people could live off of forever. That's why talking time is running out. We just said most of it. Now we need to do incidents. It's Khaled, that's an incident. Oklahoma, I can take any incident and bring it right back to you. They were just exercises to keep us busy while we keep our focus on the wisdom. Change the things you can reach. See, niggas sit up here and tell me he's gonna free Africa, free Mandela, free DC, I mean. I go all over the country, niggas telling me about what they gonna do someplace else. Always something so they can't hold their own shit accountable. Lose everything in front of them. Niggas go on college, brother tell me he's the African study group, but he can't have me on the campus else he'll lose his certification. Nigga, give up the word Africa. Be the Negro study group. But don't tell me you don't leave college and fight the white man and you ain't whipping the white man on your campus. You don't bring that out into the community. I remember when, before I had my first lecture for Neoforce, and eventually we had it, I remember having a talk with Brother Sebi and Brother Raz Baraka. And their whole thing was, brother, how can you talk against a white man and the white man ain't killed you? You must be an Asian. This is what I call the omni-white man theory. The white man is so strong and so powerful, he has control of every fucking thing. He has the right to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. You don't have any rights, you don't have any authority, you ain't connected to nothing. You're just supposed to be fucked because the white man say so. We had our meeting, and we did what we had to do on the last day of the school year before the brothers left. The Neoforce disappeared after they did. And then here come Radler, Joyce Ladner, Gilda Radner, might as well be. She fucked Howard so tough, laid off so many people, she got promoted to the control board. Said, you will fuck, we need someone over here who will fuck the people. The last 2 candidates was her and Kathy Hughes. I remember at graduation of Howard, Dick Gregory over there, I said, Dick, come on over here, I gotta talk about you. You know I've been talking against you all over the country for punking with Kathy Hughes. He said, that's all right, baby, I love you. It's okay, fine, let's have NCR didn't have you on as if that's true. Then Mark Lane and all this other bullshit on there. He said, well, this is what you do, Bobby. You can, she's soft on the inside, y'all can work it out. But what you really need to do is get straight with her is, she really wants that position on the control board. Just go on over there and get a few petitions and let her know you got a few petitions and y'all can be together again. No! But then that is a position for a sellout, so I guess that did was qualification enough. The takeover of the American cities. I remember when I first came here and went to that Blackburn Center, we had trick or treat on Halloween. I talked about the Financial Control Board, 75 New York, 77 Cleveland, 79 Chicago. Didn't nobody even hear me. Shit just went right up fast. When the control board came down, did one person call me and asked for 1 ounce of my expertise. They didn't even need it. They was just hurrying up and getting it. Let's get it here, quick. We need control board now. We are out of control. Do things in bad weather. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
I said that one of the formulas for victory is that weather might have to get real funky one day. It might be heavy snow, ice, sleet, police can't see, cars can't fly, helicopters can't fly, boom, get your hunky.
Check.
Ain't nobody building no tactical force to fight when the weather get bad.
Right.
Build a tactical force to fight when the weather get bad. Ain't nobody asked you to go get some boo-boo bombs. Boo-boo bombs. Brother stood up and said, put some shit in a can and let it sit. Then somebody tell you it blew up all Oklahoma was some shit and a fuse. Brother Copley said we couldn't use no vegetarian boo-boo, Brother Dave, because the shit was too light. Every time we know it, the shit just fizzled all out in the air and shit. We needed some good porky boo-boo. Some big stanky boo-boo. Some boo-boo with some power in it. Ain't nobody ever went out and bought no boo-boo. Come on, I got my weapons. And I told you, if they start closing in on you, just put that can on your stool and say, get back, nigga, I got some boo-boo. And nobody gonna fuck with you with no boo-boo in your hands. Put that boo-boo on a stick and get them back and be right fire. Ain't nobody ever asked you to do that. If you didn't have nothing to work with that. Because ain't nobody looking for no fight. We're not gonna march this out. We're not gonna petition it out. We ain't gonna vote it out. I said, what did I say about cancer? The only way you can stop it is to what? Kill it. Cut it out. Kill it. Remember I said go up there and pick you out a house. Go up there around here to Chevy Chase or Rockville or over there by Connecticut or up in there 16th Street and look you over some property. I told you to go to your house and look that shit out, make sure it's what you really want, stand in front of the house and take a picture. And I told you to register that house with me because when we won, that was your house. I told you that. Y'all remember this one? How many of y'all old white people know? Remember that? What did I tell you? If we win, you ain't got to pay it back. But I don't really think y'all heard me. I really had to look back, Dave. I done talked to him a long time about a lot of shit. Ain't nobody ever talked to him about it. There ain't nothing unique about Brother Kobe, just a regular ass brother who's tired to fill a void in the black community. But I'll tell you what, as just one guy, I can tell you about all the thousands of little ones I have raised. I mean, they're now in their cities, fighting it out, putting the block on those who come past the people, making the people know there's something funky going on here. be the last one on the lard yard. We hit the hardest. I told you about the point. The most piercing part of your operation. The point. And how it was a point that would penetrate white supremacy, while other things like the NAACP and the Urban League and religion would go through the hole after the point pierced the hole. But your point is on the front. And you got to protect your point. You got to protect it. You got to protect your point. Intention plus capability equal threat. Ain't nobody ever set up and tried to figure out for you about how the spy system works. I went through them books they had over there in Georgetown that they teach them white kids. Right, you hold up? They can come in and sleep. That's to make other people think the shit is so boring you need to go to sleep. It's an old ancient trick. Ain't that right, you hold up? That's right. So you're right. I know the trick. And Brother Coakley, you've been in his meetings. He ain't never had no problem standing up and getting control of that. When Brother Hebrew with them cameras in the meeting, we come in there for the D.C. Clinton Rhodes Scholar Connection, 600 people jammed up in the Blackburn Center, and the cameraman gonna tell me he gotta stay because he gotta shoot it. I threw his ass out of there. I ain't never had no problem standing up to somebody who gives me something of mine and not put an order on it. Because we mean it deep inside our soul. It's just a small thing. It's the only thing we got to work with. Intentions are measured by indicators. I intend, remember this? Intentions plus capability equal threat. Free South Africa, intention. Capability, can't buy a plane ticket. Threat, no. There you go. That's how you sort through that bullshit. Ain't nobody ever went away and tried to teach you how the spy system evaluates you. Highly intelligence community runners never screw. How about the matrix on how a person speaks? If Brother Coakley needs to speak, and I know what I know every day, and I can't get a room nowhere in town. So Brother Bruce, I'm person A. Brother Bruce is person B. He goes out to Nation House and says, man, Papa, let me bring Brother Coakley. He needs a spot. He needs to help the people if he can. So I get to talk to C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Because B stood up and made a vessel for me to reach C, D, E, F, G. And I told you that the spy system, yeah, it knows and it can isolate a principle, but it's worried about the jellers or the molders or the bringers together. Brother, we had a long talk about that, about the profound nature of calling upon the jellers to come forth. Because they're the missing ingredient in a community with a lot of tools, but no collaboration. Brother and I talked a long time about that on the phone. Colonialism is back. Now, moment to truth. The riot report. An analysis of the rebellion. We was up in the Langston room. Even Mary Berry came to that lecture on his resurrection. Well, I mentioned that. I remember reading that night the names of the blacks on the Council on Foreign Relations that someone had tipped it to me. Somebody in this room tipped it to me. Who the 44 Negroes were. Jesse Jackson, Eleanor Holmes North, Eddie Williams over at the Joint Center, and all the 41 other betrayers up in the white-run Council on Foreign Relations that was doing stories about recolonizing Africa. Ain't nobody come and brought to you about no threat about no recolonizing Africa. Ain't nobody cared. Aid to blacks is palliative, not curative. You remember that? Right. Teaching you that the white man said right in his own Foreign Policy magazine that I'll never help a nigga get off his feet. I'll only help a nigga enough not to come and bite my ass. Aid to blacks is palliative, not curative. And they ain't never operated no different from the day they come up out the earth. Never. FEMA. I remember in L.A. going to the radio station WRFI KPF, no. What's the name of that station, Jamal? KPFK, which is the Pacifica station like PFW here. And going on there and saying that Cecil Murray, who was the big minister in LA, was running Operation Cool Down on a $280,000 grant from FEMA. And he tried to sue me at the station for having said it until FEMA put it on the front page of the LA Times 2 days later. And how they stood me up in the church and let me talk to the black men, then pastor had for me and confiscated the money to bust my spirit. These are people hooked with God. All right. That was just to walk you through a little background. Now, how long can y'all stay tonight? Can y'all stick around for a few more minutes?
Hours.
Oh, y'all ain't got to go work tomorrow. I mean, what if you did? Okay, that's what we're going to do. Two things. Because I know anytime I have an intermission, half the people leave, even though they say they're staying. I know that. I ain't even got to the lecture yet. I just walked down memory lane to raise the question about, can I cut a hole in your fence? We've done a lot of talking. In the next segment of the lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about some things I used to talk to you in the past about greenhouses and fish farms and solar power. Look, they got solar power car races now. They got a boy up in New York growing fish, making millions of dollars. A white boy sitting right in downtown New York growing fish. Greenhouses for $12,000 while we got all these cars right in this parking lot. We ain't got one greenhouse, but every car is a greenhouse. But food, like Brother Oduno said, he made a very profound statement. There is no culture without agriculture. Very profound statement. I tell you, it hurts me to go back through some of this stuff. I got so many stab wounds in my back, I can't count them all. They just all kind of connect. I'm just one big sore. I told brothers I feel like a fire hydrant. They pissed on me so much. In fact, I want to show you something. Y'all don't really know me that well. Let me show you something. Somebody give me some electronic assistance here. I couldn't show you this at the Howard Hotel a couple of times we were talking because we ain't had no VCR. But I brought something I want to show you. Who is this man called Copeland? Y'all saw me y'all saw my little TV show? Right. Y'all can see why they didn't want me around. You get access to free TV, and you're going to start running shit and laugh and joke at the colonial boys. In Chicago, we had started the anti-colonialism, anti-Columbus Day movement to fuck with that Columbus Day and the rest of that stuff. Because we know that the symbols of white supremacy were sowing the seeds of inferiority in the children. Now, we coming up on another Columbus Day, and I'd like to fuck with it. That's a week before the Million Man March, and I think the people ought to be fine-tuned, and that we ought to have a little anti-Columbus activity. In the second half, those who are interested in anti-Columbus, anti-colonialism activity will sit over here. We're going to have a Futures Club and set up a little grassroots 2000. Them people will be over here. It's just a sign-up list will be over here. And I ain't thought about what the group over here, this might be the hitman. So everybody over here got to wear black. That's a good man. You know, our sister and I went to the airport the other day. The brother goes, we go to Washington National. Brother, we open the car door up. Brother looks at me. He got the little cart there. He the sky cap. He said, you got any of them tapes with you, brother? Sister said, damn. I said, brother, I got one tape. The spiritual shrub like me. He said, I'll take it. Boom, $12. I get my bag. I go to the counter to sign my little thing for my boxes. Brother man said, you got that flyer? Your next lecture going to be over there at the, can I cut a hole in your fence? I said, damn, brother, you know about that? He said, yeah, let me get one. Boom. Go up there to go through the little machine to check for the guns and stuff. And a little young brother over there said, brother man, I remember you. I went to your lecture at Howard when you could be there. When your next lecture coming up? Just walking through average, ordinary people. People who you can't even look at on the surface and not tell where they are. I couldn't look at most of you. You couldn't look at this black man and know whether he knew or not. Or look at this black man or that man and know and figure out who's who. This brother sitting up in the whiz. You couldn't look at him, know he's sitting in the whiz and know whether he know or not. And that's to your advantage. I said that one of the advantages of the black revolution was its
Underestimation.
Underestimation.
That's right.
Check. Check.
Fire. Huh? Yes. Let's see. We got to go backwards a little bit. Oh, I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired.
Just have to bring the mic down.
Huh? Pardon me, sir?
Bring the mic down.
That's not Hebrew, is it? This guy has been more up and more down in my life than anything else I know. For everything he do right, he do 4 things wrong. For everything he do wrong, he do 1 thing, 2 things right. But Brother Copley's a compassionate brother too. Let me, somebody need to give me a little help here. I gotta go backwards. This is the day I was fired in Chicago. Now the mayor standing up with 40, 50 people standing behind him saying, hey, this fucking Copley's gotta go. But you sit up and ask, why are all them people standing up there for 1 man? That's before I got to you. What's up with just 1 guy? What's up with the 1 guy move? Why would 1 guy need so much retribution? Brother, could you push the stop button there for me? It might be around that spot.
You see.
Sister, I need some cold water. Oh, this is cold. Okay, that's about cold here.
There you are. Power, black power.
Sure you're right, Brother Yehuda. I like that Brother Yehuda because he half crazy. Remember when Richard Pryor said that nigga crazy? That was something about that the white man wouldn't be able to make no predictions on you when he didn't know how you was going to act. And that level of unpredictability. So I wonder why the niggas here ain't had no sense. A smart black businessman would go get Brother Copley and say, what do you need? I asked Hebrew to draw me out a computer system. How come I'm sitting up here with 50, I just started throwing out all my newspapers. I had every newspaper DC ever printed since 1990 in my house. I couldn't hold it no longer. I just can't hold these things no longer, and y'all don't give me the time to go through it because I got to go out here and work. Everybody say, where the book? But I got to come out here and do this every other day and can barely do this. If the book ever came, but it came back and put it together, yeah, go back a little more. That's Reverend Sampson, who had a fundraiser at Mr. Farrakhan's restaurant last week when the minister brought Khaled through the door with him.
When we gonna get you to 486? To see wrong. Put all that stuff on it.
Well, it ain't the point of whether I want it. I got to pay for the shit. I have to develop a way to develop the resources to cover the things that I need. Now, I'm going to start asking for what I need because when I really thought about it, I didn't have a peer. I didn't have a peer. And I'm loaded with disrespect. And why I would die of cancer sitting up tripping myself about what the fuck did I do wrong. Yeah, we got to go another way. I teach the story. That would be the beers backwards. I mean, forward. Yeah, forward. Oh, shit. We are fighting force without bank. But you know what? Everybody won't fight because they ain't got no bank. Yeah, that's I think that's right after that. Because I think Jamal, that was the LA fire. We talked about that leading into the story. This brother Jamal here is an outstanding brother. He come all the way here. He got fucked up by the Unabomber. Here's one white man closed down half the West Coast. Brother Jamal had a nice $50 ticket to come east. A man was selling the ticket, got to the airport, and they was checking IDs. No ID matched the ticket, you can't get on the plane. So he had to pay an extra $100 just to get here. Because Unabomber was fucking up shit. Even though they know Unabomber are honky, they fucking with the brothers. Because fucking with the brothers was all they wanted to do anyway. Unabomber. They afraid of his ass. They are. I hope that motherfucker fuck up the Washington Post, because that tramp over there, Catherine Graham, that fucked y'all real deep, y'all don't even know it yet. And her son, Donald. Done fucked y'all real bad. Y'all ain't even felt it. Chicago news, they're sort of through, they're getting ready to come to put some heat on the brother. Oh. I told you I didn't feel good tonight. I'm getting that achy feeling.
Use some of that magic power there.
Brother, it'll take more than that to do this. I gotta sweat this out. I need rest. Went to Dallas last weekend. They said they was going to pay me $1,000. I got there. They said they wouldn't give me shit. Went to New Orleans a week before. My buddy was hosting a lecture he has in his restaurant. There's 20 people in there. What's half of 20 people? You tell me how you can plan on saving your babies and keeping your family together when every week you gambling, trying to take a chance on black people. I know this brother over here see me out playing Keno and trying to play the lottery to win some money. And it's just like coming to a lecture. I roll the dice just like I'm playing gambling. Bet on the horse and coming to a lecture ain't no different. You don't know what you're going to get when you come. It's all up in the air. Why are more people dedicating their life to black people? Because black people have not shown that you can save yourself by doing that. They make you look desperate. Look at me. I'm the raggedest nigga in D.C. Wear the same shit you put them lectures on. I'm wearing the same shit for 4-5 years. Got 10 black turtlenecks and the same pants. Wear a pair of shoes till they get funky. Gotta throw them away. They walk the fuck out of the house. We're a fighting force without a bank, but we ain't never took a step backwards. Not yet and never will. But people are still waiting on getting the right things before they take off. Shit's getting late. Yeah, we're going a little bit past that. Anyway, before we break for the intermission, our brother Copley is going to pass the hat for himself. And I'm going to do it because some of you I know are going to go when we break. I know brothers got food out there, some snacks and stuff that you could have and purchase. I know that Brother Jamal has his tapes out there and things that you could purchase. I know there's a good brother out there, Brother Willie. This is one of the most dependable brothers in this town. Brother Willie back there, he got Clean and Fresh and a lot of other things. You know, Clean and Fresh costs a lot of money to sell because you have to pay so much for it wholesale and you don't get much for selling it retail. That brother back there deserves it. Well, he's a very dependable brother. I know brother and I were coming from the airport and our car broke down. This brother stopped what he was doing from his house and drove in a storm right to where we were and got us up out of there. Because he's just that type of brother. Ain't many brothers like that. There ain't many brothers with the mental strength as this brother Jamal. But brother Jamal got to do a lot of things just to get the right to come out and translate things for black people. We out in L.A., we done made a restaurant called The Good Life. Many of you all see them on the tapes. That's them giraffes and all that stuff behind me. We done made this restaurant. We done made this thing economically viable for the people inside of it by bringing our people through there. And now we setting up the restaurant in New Orleans, and now we start working more through the cafe. Out there we go. And there's brother, see, I used to have clothes. I got little things on my neck, little things on my neck from them little tight shirts I used to wear. Because brother used to be clean. The mayor looked over there and said, boy, you gonna work for me, you ain't got no suits? Come on, let's go to the store, let me buy you some suits. This is the COVID event. This is the night before I was fired. When the mayor wanted me to resign, and I wouldn't do it.
Doctors, especially Jewish ones, who injected the AIDS virus in class. Steve Copley's remarks were made during lectures to groups which included members of the Louis Farrakhan Nation of Islam between 1985 and 87, when Copley was on duty.
Next, Steve. I need this volume.
Nation of Islam shouts.
You got that right. What's going on? Population control.
Still going
on.
The remarks were pointed out to the mayor a month ago, but Copley's remarks became widely known on Sunday when Chicago's major newspapers carried the controversial quotes.
Have you asked for Copley's resignation?
No, I have not.
The mayor wasn't going to believe me because he knew I helped him.
Said on Sunday. But pressure quickly mounted. On Monday, he issued a news release with this apology from Copley. It read, I apologize to Chicago residents of all races and religious groups who were offended by remarks made prior to my ascension to the mayor's office.
I don't think that I should police him. I'm going to talk with him and try every time we got this to rehabilitate him.
I'm going to rehabilitate him.
And the mayor's pledge to rehabilitate Copley were not enough to quell public outcry. Wherever Mayor Sawyer went, he found himself
They called his
from the press.
ass to give up one
City
guy.
organizations began calling for
That's
Copley's
the
out.
Italian parade committee man up there. This is the Columbus Day parade commander. This is our fucking parade up for 3 years. He was right there with the Jews. Hang him, hang him. This is Eddie Ladoniak, Harold Watson, the number one enemy in the city council. I'm going to pass the hat. Why you talking? For those who can, make the donation. I'm going to do it quietly while we running this.
The only alternative is for
stand behind Sawyer.
If one make a mistake and one apologize, I think that's sufficient. I think the issue should just be,
I see that all in your life.
should be buried.
By Wednesday, the expectation grew that the mayor would have to make some decision to keep Copeland, to fire Copeland, or to demote him to some less visible position. A number of more militant black leaders met with the mayor to demand that he keep Copeland.
It is disturbing that the white owned and controlled...
There's Conrad World. There's Leonard Farrakhan, Chief of Staff of the Nation. Here's Elkanah, the Hebrew Israelites. Hakeem Abuzi's right back there.
...to emasculate one man.
The announcement on
But
Copeland's
then they
death
left.
never came Wednesday.
They left.
Today, some black leaders, not known to be allies of Mayor Sawyer, called press conferences to voice their objections to Copeland's continued employment.
The views expressed by Steve Copeland
This was 1988. This is May of 1988. I came to you in 1990 after a year of starvation of 89.
It's time that we set the record straight with respect to discrimination, no matter who says it.
Should have been fired. I think that's evident. He should be gone.
Finally, late today, the mayor made his decision. Surrounded by a group of community and religious leaders, he had this announcement.
I'm here today to announce that I have dismissed Steve Copeland from my administration.
There's the mayor announcement on fire. Now this is a news special called the Copeland Affair. This was on versus Nightline, and this was 2-1, the top-rated show in Chicago. This is the press secretary. This is the financier who tried to kill Harold Washington. He was the one who was picked to replace Harold Washington before he died.
But it's too little, and lateness, I don't understand.
Neither one of them are on there for me, but they both on there.
It was clear from the start that these were inflammatory statements and that Mr. Copeland should have been removed much more quickly than he was.
Well, the mayor's position on this has been, first of all, that it was a very heated discussion going on in many quarters of the city. And he wanted to hear all arguments on it. And also, he wanted to give Mr. Copeland, who has invested a great deal of personal time and interest in it, a chance to do the right thing and resign.
But I thought the anti-defamation league brought this information to the mayor more than a month ago and didn't go to the press for at least a couple of weeks. But the mayor had at least 2 quiet weeks to think about this before all this ever started.
Well, yes, they did bring it to the mayor, except they didn't bring it to the mayor in the sense of, well, do something about it. They met with the mayor. They gave him a laundry list of blacks they considered to be anti-Semitic. One was an alderman, one was a prominent Chicago attorney, one was Mr. Copeland, a couple other people on the list. I don't remember who they were. The mayor tells me that they met with him, they had this talk with him, and at the end of the discussion, they gave him these statements Steve Copeland had made and said, well, you don't have to do anything about it, this is just FYI, and we thought you should know about it, it's confidential meeting, and that was the info.
And then they went for some period of time and then it went public and the debate started. All of that, in your view, take too long. Absolutely. This is a clear case where Mr. Copeland should have been terminated immediately. After the time that went by, lent credence to his comments and confused the community.
Among blacks, that Jews are insensitive, that they are caring, that they are power hungry, and so forth. This is a reality. This is an attitude that is developing in the black community.
Joining us live now to continue our discussion of these developments is Michael Coates of the Anti-Defamation League, the group first brought the Copeland remarks to the mayor's attention, we understand, more than a month ago. And also joining us live from a remote location via minicam is the Reverend Al Sampson, who I believe is one of the sponsors of the Copeland rally tonight.
Go back, because there's a little piece before this that I didn't get in there. gave a speech the night I was fired called Somewhere Righteousness Has Its Place. And in that speech, Reverend Sampson, I was supposed to be on the Oprah Winfrey show after this. And so Reverend Sampson, who introduced me that night, said, "Can't nobody fire somebody who God hired." And Oprah Winfrey couldn't have me on her show. I was scheduled to be on her show that next week. She had to cancel me because of pressure from the ATL. And so what she did was she ran clips of Coakley before the lead-in into the show, and they ran Reverend Sampson's piece from the church about could nobody fire somebody who God hired. But as they go to me at this church, they first say, "We're going to go to Coakley, but Coakley ain't going to come on." And then Coakley jumps on them. And then they go to ask Coakley some questions. Coakley jumps off. And I only want to line that part up. Here we go. This is back in the rally where Coakley is brought to the camera, and Coakley says some things that he said, "We want to say, get the fuck on off." And I'm talking to the two guys on the screen who sitting there squabbling over black people in front of white people.
We're going to change plans a bit because we understand that Mr. Coakley, who we earlier thought would not be talking with us, has decided to. He's standing by live with Art Norman. Art, can you hear us?
Yes, we can, Carol. And Mr. Coakley has been listening to the beginning of the program tonight, and he takes issue with some of the things that Monroe Anderson said. Mr. Coakley.
Well, actually, I didn't hear what Monroe said, and I didn't hear what Tim said. But I would just say to both of them on their station, that station that doesn't belong to us, that we're bringing the discussion about ourselves into our community. They want to know what we're going to do next. We're going to take Tim and Monroe and the political officials and our religious leaders and the community people that came out here tonight, and we're going to come back in our own community, and we're going to have a long talk. We need to talk, Tim Evans. This struggle that we're involved in, Tim Evans, is bigger than politics.
Right.
And I covered your back before, and you covered me. It got nothing to do with political opportunity. So within our community, we're going to bring our dialogue back home. Monroe Anderson, I told the people here tonight, I did not appreciate you calling me a gopher. And I said it was an embarrassment to my wife and my children who have had to put up with the pain that I've had to suffer for being a part of this community. And that upon my back, Monroe, I showed the people my back, where I suffered the scars of helping bring in that government that Gene Sawyer has so that you could work in it. You got to learn how to stick with me, Monroe. You're going to need me one day. Tim, you're going to need me one day. I'll be there for you. Bring the discussion home to our community. That's what we're going to do next. Thank you. Carol?
Gentlemen, we did not know Mr. Coakley was going to talk to us at all, and I'll extend this along to you.
Man, never been no friend of the
You haven't seen accusing you of opportunism in this incident. Well, what he doesn't seem to understand is that his remarks were inappropriate. His comments now are disingenuous. He seems to be unable to discern just what has happened to our community.
He ended up running for re-election and lost his own ward race to a black woman married to a white man in an all-black district. That's how we get shit got. Now I'm going to show you when Lee Farrakhan comes to town. I get fired. May 5th, Farrakhan comes to town, May 9th. I'm going to take you to that rally. You might not know my relationship, but you're going to see the brother standing there hugging me on the stage, and you ain't going to know it's the same two people. As much discussion and antagonism as we've thrown towards each other in the years since, as his dialogue lately has gotten a lot closer to mine. You need to know where we were before we got apart. These are things we saw already. I'm leading up to, I want to get up to Farrakhan coming to town. Al Sampson raises the point, how come in city government there was a white woman who was one of the weather women, and she bombed the University of Wisconsin and killed 5. She was working as that. How come she can keep her job and Brother Coakley ain't never even been arrested, had to give up his? We had another guy who was head of cultural affairs, a guy named Fred Fine. He was a Jewish man. He had been a communist. He had spoke as a communist in front of the House on American Activity. He could keep his job, but Brother Coakley had to give up his. As Gus Sapp, you people to stand up and defeated by a black. He said Steve Copeland is the first man in the history of Chicago government fired for racism. And Chicago government been pretty damn racist. For me. These are things we saw already. I'm leading up to, I want to get up to Fairtown coming to town. Al Sampson raises the point, how come in the city government there was a white woman who was one of the weather women, and she bombed the University of Wisconsin and killed 4 or 5 white people. She was working as deputy press secretary. How come she can keep her job and Brother Copley ain't never even been arrested, had to give up his? We had another guy who was head of cultural affairs, a guy named Fred Klein. He was a Jewish man. He had been a communist. He had spoke as a communist in front of the House On-American Activities. He could keep his job, but Brother Copley had to give up his. As Gus Savage, who was one of the few people to stand up and defend me, who got defeated by a black Rhodes Scholar. He said Steve Copley is the first man in the history of Chicago government fired for racism. And the Chicago government been pretty damn racist. For me, in 1988, to be the first one to go down. I'll be in his church that Saturday in Chicago, Affirmative United. Anybody in Chicago, we're going to have a little knock 'em out, sock 'em out, boule fest. And on this afterwards, they come on down with the Become Fairtown. I appreciate all of you who made a donation. I'm going to stop a minute for, after I show this Fairtown piece, then we're going to stop on intermission real quick. And then we're going to put about a 20, 25-minute closer on there about what we can do past today, because there's some things we need to do. For those who are willing to do that.
Put him on the couch in there.
Now this thing gets all backwards here. I don't want to lose nothing. This boy here, he had plenty of problems. I mean, life is a real trip, you know. I'm sorry to hear about Phyllis Hyman. You know, anytime I think about a black person committing suicide and other things, I always think about it only we had a chance to be near them, to have cushioned it through to the other side. Sometimes people got money and lack purpose. And sometimes without purpose and money and opportunity, they lose themselves. And it hurts a lot when you see that happen, because you know sometimes if the black thing was a little bit more encompassing and compassionate towards those who are on the point, entertainers, athletes, and others, we could do a lot more for them. They could bring that back to the people. But we still ain't got a financer from the big people, and they're still dropping out and getting knocked out. Come on, you get off of here, Carol O'Connor. Come on, y'all. This is a tape a brother gave me. I was too much into stuff to be able to be home and tape my stuff. So people had to give me the pieces, and I'm pulling all these out together. I had all these early lectures when I first came to Howard. And people have been dying to get a hold of them, but I'm going to pull them out.
I'm opposed to that.
This is Rabbi Marx. This is one of the people Farrakhan met with that in the Black and Jewish Relations 93. I put pressure on him for meeting this rabbi who was saying, kill Copley. And I wouldn't let nobody meet with anybody who was going to kill me. And I don't care who they were. You don't meet with the enemy, and you can't meet with me. You don't make the enemy feel comfortable and leave me out there. And I wouldn't take it after nobody. Here's a brother who was in the nation in Virginia, in Richmond. And I came there to speak, and I stood up and told about this, and I wasn't accepting nobody playing the violin and meet with the rabbis. They threw him out of the nation. Threw him out. He's one of the best research men in this country. This brother Robert, he's the one that found Dick Gregory at the ADL fundraiser. Y'all remember that piece? Where we showed Dick Gregory was flunking, raising money for the ADL. That's why we couldn't get him to do the ADL story while he was doing members commercial appeal. Because brother found it. Brother found some good pieces showing Du Bois as an informant and a punk against Marcus Garvey. He found a bunch of good pieces. Real good pieces. This is a local TV news show on the PBS station in Chicago. They couldn't allow me in the studio, so they had to interview me in the park. Because I was too black to go in the studio. I was not allowed in the public broadcasting station in Chicago studio. So he had to interview me in the park. These are stories in the New York Times and others running on me, talking against me, and this is going to lead us up to, I'll run this during the intermission, but I want to carry this up to Farrakhan coming to town. Dukakis was running against Reagan, a strike. Let's see, Dukakis was running against George Bush, and no. Dukakis ran against Reagan. Here's the rally. 900 people jammed in this room. Farrakhan comes home to defend Steve Copeland. And this is going backwards. I'm going to hit this about a minute or two. Then we're going to break for intermission, give you a chance to get a break or two. Then we're going to come down. I'm going to key up a couple of things, and then we're going to talk. Notice Brother Copeland comes in his bow tie. All the nation comes in straight ties. You'll see Brother Minister hugging me in a minute on the stage. What did he do? Damn it, what did he do? This black man come out, he was really kind of on the time. He come out and said, we ought to boycott all the Jewish businesses. I had to come over and thank him. I said, I didn't even know you had it in you. Yes, that's Farrakhan hugging me. Here we go, we'll cut it in right here.
That's right.
No, because I think that his adversary is just as political as he is. He has called for a leadership conference, and he had those leaders with him today. But here's that
Stephen Coakley came here too. Farrakhan's embrace of Coakley was a prelude for his defense that followed. What did Steve do? What did he do? The controversy over Stephen Coakley is centered around his remarks in public lectures, variously interpreted as anti-Semitic, anti-Italian, anti-Hispanic, and anti-white.
dismiss Steve Coakley from my discussion.
Mayor Sawyer,
the white guy over in the corner was the U.S. attorney that killed him after the trial.
Only after Sawyer's would-be commissioner of human relations was drawn into the Coakley controversy. For the Reverend P. Herbert Martin was quoted last week as saying that some of Coakley's remarks had been ring of truth. Though Martin claimed he was quoted out of context, some aldermen said Martin's appointment should be blocked, leading to a new threat today from a black state representative.
I think that the black community should take a serious look at boycotting the entire whatever you sell in the city.
Tonight, Reverend Farrakhan, a challenge to Coakley's accusers.
And I know if he said, at least I believe, he got the stuff to back it up. Now the press, you're so interested in dogging him, I hope you'll be as interested now to come and find out what proof he has of your sectionalism.
This is the 28th Ward where Ed Smith is the alderman. He tonight said that he
today as the mayor tried to assess and repair the political damage. But tonight, the Reverend Louis Farrakhan launched a fiery defense of Stephen Coakley here in our Westside Church. Farrakhan arrived at the Westside rally enthusiastically greeted by several hundred who came to show their support for former Alderman Wallace Davis. Coakley had arrived earlier, once again wearing the thin bow tie favored by Farrakhan's supporters. He remained unwilling to criticize the mayor and was forced to fire him when he refused to resign.
I'd have an honest relationship between people of all races and religions because maybe we've been a little dishonest in the past. And this might be a time that we could really lay all our cards on the table and see if we can get over some of our pathologies.
The mayor was also preaching unity today when he spoke with Andy Shaw at City Hall.
We'll be talking with Dr. Martin and with many other leaders in this city. And I'll continue to just have some dialogue and bring people together.
But Farrakhan, in his own characteristic style, used the indictment of blacks by Operation Incubator, the candidacy of Jesse Jackson, and the firing of Stephen Coakley in what he called a conspiracy against black elected officials. He saved his toughest criticism for black leaders.
Black politicians said, fire him. Fire him. See, it sounded to me like Judas saying, crucify him. Crucify him. What is his crime? Well, he's a racist. He's a bigot. Shut your damn mouth. Who the hell are you to call a black man a racist when the blood of the black man dripping from your head?
long, he came down hardest on other black politicians who did not support Steve Coakley. Coakley is on the stage now. He said about, Mr. Farrakhan said about Tim Evans that he ought to be ashamed of himself. He also said something interesting now that Steve Coakley does not have a job at City Hall. That Farrakhan was willing to hire him now, and is going to hire him now, as a researcher, and he will pay him $1,000 a month to continue his work. Going live from West Side.
Added up and now about 72,000. Special news show.
We're sitting close. I'll pick your pocket. No, you didn't. And you're not threatening you personally? No. In fact, I think you were having a very interesting discussion here.
Very interesting discussion.
Now, when you think about it, a couple of months later, I did that crossfire, and then you see it all kind of fits in. That was 88 and 89. They starved my ass. I left in the cold, moved into the storefront of my uncle's grocery store, and moved all my research into this storefront. My family moved on. The key people around me left me out there. Nobody wanted to hear me prove it because now that the issue had been drawn and the die had been cast, damn, this thing is so poetic. Didn't nobody want to hear the answer. So I stayed out on rap until 1990. Then one of his strange moves, his brother Hebrew hooks me up with a lecture at the University of Michigan, and they actually paid me $1,000. I couldn't believe somebody would pay me $1,000 for a lecture. And the lecture was Malcolm X in the 1990s. Some of you all got that tape. And from that point on, that was in February or something. And then eventually I ended up here at Howard when Hebrew told me I had $10,000 in engagements lined up. When I got here, it wasn't nothing. They was passing and half Brother Steve, but no money. Anyway, we're going to break for intermission now. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. I know we're getting close to the end, so we got to be out of here soon, so I ain't going to keep you long. But I give you a chance to grab something. Then we're going to come back, move down to the front. For those who are interested to sign in for things, we're going to do that. If somebody's got to leave and wants to sign up for something, or even wants to be on the mailing list, put your number in the back of the room on the table. Sister Karen out there, if Sister Karen or Sister Marilyn would create a sign list for those that are interested in Grassroots 2000, now just the next lecture. Oh, for those of you who may never come back, the next lecture is at the Georgia Avenue Cafe, July 11th. Tuesday, July 11th is the next lecture at the Georgia Cafe at 7 o'clock. Glad you sit and watch my stuff. I hate my stuff. I'm so stupid. I can trust me. That ain't stupid at all. You know that. You better watch it. You be dressing all black. I be into that all black stuff, especially when it be hot out. You got this suffering in those all. I be wearing a turtleneck. It be 90. See, I told y'all how the intermission came, and I know it's late. This is an extraordinary opportunity, and I know we got to be out of here by soon. I'll be going. Right, take it in. That was old Howard. Like, I'm thinking out all this old Howard stuff.
Make it plain.
Let's see something here. Who said that, Boule?
Make it plain. Brother Minister Malcolm.
Some of you all saw this All right, man. How many of you all were at the lectures in the cafe? Did you see, okay, we got all that crowd. Connie Chung, in the last week before she's fired, does a little piece on the Trilateral Commission. Now, two things probably got her fired. One of them was that she fronted Ms. Gendricks off and got her bitch remark into the newspaper, on the TV, and everywhere. Another part, well, I guess she didn't have too much to do with this outside of reading. But she did a little piece on the Trilateral Commission. How many of you all saw that on CBS? You want to see it?
Yeah.
It's about 2 minutes worth. This is in the response to white-on-white violence. One thing I wanted to share with you in this portion is one of the things we should look forward to is that white-on-white violence I was talking about earlier. Yeah, there we go. Backwards. It's going backwards, ain't it?
No, no.
Excuse me. It's going backwards. Oh. After years of talking about it and people telling me it didn't even exist, and CBS doing it. People try to tell me there ain't no Trilateral Commission.
How's that book going by Robert?
On Roberts, I don't have a copy, but I did read the section. This guy's some good stuff. He's still a white guy. Even Holly Sakari announced it was a conspiracy.
In recent days, we've heard a lot about leaks that see the U.S. government as the enemy. But that's not the only enemy they see. Even more suspect is a private group called the Trilateral Commission. It's an exclusive club of business leaders, scholars, and politicians. They meet once a year to discuss world problems. But as Anthony Mason reports, some feel the group's agenda is far more sinister.
In Copenhagen, Denmark, late last month, an exclusive club held its annual meeting. David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger are among its some 300 influential members. But some on the far right say this was more than a meeting. They see it as part of a conspiracy to control the world by a secret society called the Trilateral Commission.
The conspiracy is to have a global government in which the elite will control the power world and the unwashed multitudes will have a higher role in the world government than for their own provinces such as the United States.
Jim Tucker spread this conspiracy theory in Spotlight, the newspaper of the right-wing liberty lobby. He is not alone. Read Pat Robertson in his book, The New World Order. A single thread runs from the White House to the State Department to the Trilateral Commission. There must be a new world order and a world elite in charge of it all. It springs, Robertson writes, from the depth of something that is evil. Even in rural Michigan, in the ranks of the so-called militia, they now believe in the global union.
The more people that find out what's going on, the longer it's going to take them to come into their new world order and their complete takeover by the banks.
It's a rallying cry that spread across the far right. The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world. Just look at its membership, they say. Current and former members include Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Carter. Names like Brzezinski, Christopher, Kissinger, and Schultz. And top executives of ITT, Xerox, Exxon, and NationsBank.
Well, there are certainly folks there with pretty broad responsibilities.
Charles Heck, North American director, says the Trilateral Commission is hardly secret. You can find it in the phone book. Subscribe to its magazine. It was founded to promote global cooperation.
But this notion of what is happening here is a very misguided notion.
The Trilateral Commission is not a conspiracy running the world.
But author Holly Clark sees the conspiracy theory gaining momentum.
I think a lot of people, whether it's in the militia movement or the right in general, are just desperately looking for answers. And unfortunately, oftentimes people lack up the most simplistic answers are given.
They are powerful leaders, but the conspiracy theory that surrounds them may be becoming dangerously influential itself. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
And that's part of our world tonight. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, all the latest on the Oklahoma bombing investigation.
Thank you for joining us. Dan and I will be back.
Right, and Dan will be back. Brother Jamal reminded me of something that he had here on tape. I mentioned this last week in Dallas. Don't you fall for this. But the key thing is, why are they doing this? Brother Jamal has got on tape. Where you at, brother?
Doing it back.
Backwards?
Yeah.
Just a small little piece here. Strange things are happening. Now before they kill you, they want to square their minds away. So here comes the head of the Baptist convention coming out and apologizing for something they claim they ain't never done.
Babble and sexual perversion of every kind.
Oh, yeah.
Forward.
Been talking about that white-on-white violence. The Oklahoma bombing showed that the white man's biggest enemy is the white man. The thing I want to leave with you most importantly is that the white man is setting up a scenario where the white man will be attacked by the other white man, the rich white man will be attacked by the poor white man, and the rich white man will turn to the black man to help him. The Crimson Tide outbreak. Black men on the side of white men ready to help them out when they got in trouble with other white people. The Enemy Within with Forrest Whitaker, Jason Robards and them on HBO. Set it up for the black man to rescue the white man. This is a key thing. White-on-white aggression has compelled the white man to line them up some black saviors. I even mentioned that in the movie, The Hand That Rocked the Cradle. Even an idiot could save the white family. Jack? What other movies got the black man saving the white man?
Die Hard.
What? Die Hard too. There you go. What else? What? Lethal Weapon? Right. Glover's always there to save old Mel Gibson.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss Daisy. Show you right. What is it? Passenger 57. There's old boy busting ass. Wesley Snipes to save the white man. Who else?
Philadelphia story.
The Philadelphia, the black man to save the white man from AIDS, getting him money and stuff. Demolition Man. And in that's the criminalization of the black man. He becomes Rodman. What about the movie Congo? Oh, they didn't see a high superior race of gorilla. Now write this down in your pad. May 14th, 1988. 1 week after I was fired, an article came out in the Chicago Tribune, which is the main Chicago paper. And it's called 8-Man Experiment Revealed. Now I used to say in the Grecian Sphinx that the white man would kill the black man, his father, and marry his mother, the black woman. But now I ain't so sure, brother man. Because in the 8-man experiment, what they did was they took the sperm of a white man and put it in a female chimpanzee and conceived an embryo. That ain't strong. And it said, the article is subtitled, "A New Breed of Human Slave Envisioned." Italian scientists had mixed a white man's sperm with a female chimpanzee and conceived an embryo. They killed it after that. They wanted to know would it work. 8-man experiment revealed. Then I look up, here's Congo. And in the opening of the book of Congo, the white man says, ooh, the gorilla. I wonder if he knows I'm his brother. Look at him, strong, superior. Da, 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 da.
On your movie, in Clear and Pleasant Danger, when a CIA agent went in and they attacked him from the roof and blocked off the car, bars. That's how they got the bars in Ethiopia. They blocked off the car and people shot down from the roof, just like in the movie.
But they fucked up and didn't kill him. He's dead.
That's how they can.
Mubarak is a big flunky. He needs to be dead. Okay.
I hate the pain.
About religion today, the phone-in for a history of racism. The Southern Baptist Convention has opened its annual meeting in Atlanta today. And at the top of the agenda is the role of the nation's largest Protestant denomination plays in slavery. Whether the church has sinned. Here's ABC's Al Van.
All in favor? By an overwhelming show of hands, Southern Baptists passed a resolution apologizing to blacks for the church's racist past, including its support of slavery. The resolution says, we ask for forgiveness from our African-American brothers and sisters, acknowledging that our own healing is at stake, that racism discredits the gospel we proclaim. Confronting the past, they said, was long overdue. It had been 150 years since the Baptist Church split over the issue of slavery. In 1845, many Southern Baptist preachers and parishioners defended the right to own slaves, and as recently as the 1960s, opposed civil rights for African Americans. To some, the Southern Church even came to be known as the denomination of the Ku Klux Klan.
I think it's always good for those of us in the family of God to repent. Our church is probably the most segregated hour is at 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings, and we need to begin to build bridges.
About 5% of the 16 million Southern Baptists are black. The Reverend Gary Frost, who was elected second vice president, responded to the passage of the resolution.
We accept your apology, and we extend to you our forgiveness in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And delegates said they wanted to pass the resolution this afternoon in order to go into tonight's official celebration with a clear conscience. Al Dale, ABC News, Atlanta.
In California today, the only arrested in Los Angeles on charges they molested a teenager right from Australia. Warren Wilson has details in this report.
Rabbi Israel Grunwald was released from federal custody after posting a $10,000 bail. He and his assistant, Yehuda Friedlander, were arrested by the FBI on sex charges. They appeared in federal court and were arraigned on one count each. Grunwald was accused of grabbing the breast of a 15-year-old girl aboard a United Airlines flight from Melbourne, Australia to Los Angeles. Friedlander faced a more serious charge of fondling the private parts of the same teenager. The government claims to have an adult female witness who corroborated the girl's story. The allegations struck at the heart of the Jewish community. Nearly 24 rabbis showed up in support of the two men. Their wives were also present.
It would be as absurd and ludicrous to assume that the rabbi would walk over to an unknown female and attempt to abuse that person as it would be for the rabbi to be seen eating pork anywhere.
They are serious charges. They're not well-founded. These people are innocent. There's no question in my mind about it.
The Jewish leaders were members of the small but well-known Hoover sect, and their arrest brought international reaction, but it was struggles in this Jewish neighborhood in New York.
Very shocked, not surprised.
But the bond hearing for Friedlander dropped the bombshell when the judge disclosed that he had been arrested and convicted of sexual abuse in 1991. A full disclosure of the sexual abuse case in Monticello, New York, will be made here tomorrow morning in this courthouse.
Could he do it?
Now
He already done it.
about Friedlander's alleged statement to an FBI agent that he involuntarily touched the minor and couldn't feel in underwear. From the federal courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. General Trump, evenings at 10.
The man charged with stalking the God-hero Jesus Christ remained the undisputed rulers of Judaism.
In Babylon, the Pharisees codified their oral traditions into the Babylonian Talmud, the written form of that oral tradition which Jesus so bitterly rebuked. The Talmud reveals how deep was Israel's apostasy. In her beginning, God gave the Hebrews the loftiest, the most upright literature and epics the world has ever known. Yet when they turned their backs on him, they produced the Talmud, a work which has aptly been called a monument to human folly. The Talmud also helps us understand the basis for Christ's unflattering descriptions of the Pharisees.
Jesus described the Pharisees as hypocrites, children of hell, blind guides, whited sepulchres, full of dead men's bones. He even described the Pharisees as children of their father the devil, a murderer from the beginning. The Talmud confirms Christ's word. In the Talmud, in Treatise Sanhedrin, an extensive passage describes the right of the Pharisee to kill anyone, just as long as he did so indirectly. As one of dozens of examples, the Talmud tells us that if one bound his neighbor and he died of starvation, he is not liable to execution. In such an indirect manner, the Pharisees also killed Christ. manipulating the Romans to actually wield the Spirit's sword. The Pharisees claim, as their descendants do today, that since the Romans were the direct cause of the death of Christ, it is the Romans, not the Jews, who are guilty. Christ also called the Pharisees adulterers, an adulterous generation. The Talmud provides generous loopholes for adultery. It says the penalty for adultery does not include sex with a minor, the wife of a minor, or the wife of a heathen. The Talmud also encourages seduction of unwed adolescent girls called designated bondmaids. But it's important how such rapes are performed. With the designated bondmaid, one is guilty only in the case of natural connection, but not in the case of perverse connection. The Pharisees reason that rape in a perverted manner is outside the jurisdiction of the law. Normal rape, however, was punishable. In Babylon, sexual perversion of every kind had been a way of life for millennia. The Pharisees were deeply influenced by such practices.
In 3 of the major treatises of the Talmud are found extensive passages which give legal endorsement to seduce and marry 3-year-old baby girls. In fact, many of the greatest rabbis of the Talmud, including Simeon ben Yochai, upheld this privilege. Today in Israel, thousands of Jews go to Meron every year to venerate the memory of Simeon ben Yochai, one of the most respected rabbis in the history of Judaism.
In one of dozens of endorsements of child sex, Simeon ben Yochai said, "A proselyte under the age of 3 years and a day is permitted to marry a priest." Agreeing with ben Yochai, the great rabbin said, "When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing, or when the girl is less than this, 3 years and a day, it is as if one put the finger into the eye." The footnote to this passage says, "As tears come to the eye again and again, so does virginity come back to the little girl under 3 years." The same section confirms that sexual in the story of the Good Samaritan portrayed the Pharisees as racial bigots, too self-righteous to respond to the suffering of one who was not a Jew. It is true, because of the wickedness of the Canaanites, which included sodomy and infant sacrifice, Israel had been commanded by God to be harsh in her treatment of the inhabitants of the land. God made it clear that the Canaanites were not simply to be avoided, but destroyed. By the time of the New Testament, this method of preserving God's kingdom by separation and the sword had become obsolete. God no longer made a racial difference between men.
But the Pharisees were unfazed by God's new agenda. The Talmud was finally written down nearly 5 centuries after.
Let's give Brother Jamal a hand for piecing that together. Right, the rabbi is saying, and you notice he said, do you think the rabbi did it? No, he never do that. He said, well, let me out of the bill, the rabbi got convicted a couple years ago for the same smoking alarm. But it's key to show that certain people's religious values are in line. You know, that's why I be worried about the Jewish people with that Day of Atonement. They can jam you all year long and on one day ask for forgiveness. Even the Catholics got a component called confession. Well, they do shit to you all week and then confess to Father. You give them 3 Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers, and they go right back to doing you on Monday. And if you remember a saying I used to say, we talked about the 100 virgins will whip 1,000 whores, but I told you many times people out here saying, I'm a vegetarian, I just eat chicken. Right? And I said, being a virgin means you never did it how many times? You never did it. That's what being a virgin ain't just once. So he said, yeah, she'll get her virginity back. Okay, that's a high way to get score. A couple of things I want to run past you real quick. Remember McVeigh did this story of man in the Washington Times. For those of you who missed those lectures at the Georgia Cafe, it says, this is Washington Times, April 24, 1995. Suspect found firepower wary of government. Total acquaintances, U.S. had planted microchip in his behind. This is McVeigh with the headline from the D.C. paper saying that he had a microchip in his butt. Now, I want you to look at McVeigh's face, because that McVeigh that they brought on TV last weekend is not McVeigh. We just witnessed an overt body switch. I'm going to say it again. Now, if you remember, it's on that tape back there, progress, regress, and conspiracy. 1 full month before the FBI mentioned that there was no John Doe 2, the brothers had tipped me that there was no John Doe 2, mentioned it at the lecture, we affirmed it into the record, May 16th, progress, regress, and conspiracy, and a couple of weeks ago, the FBI comes out and admits there's no John Doe 2. There ain't no John Doe number 1. And this guy that did these interviews and I said put his face out there all last week, that guy is not the same as this guy. Those are 2 different people. 2 different attitudes, 2 different strategies. The other McVeigh is dead. Now you know they had 3-4 Oswald, so don't get it tripping. Even Clinton has a double that follows him everywhere that looks like Clinton. That's who Raincoat Man was shooting at. Anyway, just put that in there. You mark there, I told you that ain't him. And you're going to get some other indications that it ain't him either. That's another picture of him. This guy here is much taller. Face is much bigger than the McVeigh they wheeled out last week. Put him in the Newsweek. Anytime he ends up in a Jewish weekly magazine, I'm jumping. With a special interview. This is something I want to show you. I didn't bring any but the D.C. Rhodes Scholar Clinton tape. I mentioned right there for you that Clinton said that he values 3 things: stability and financial markets. And I told you, you couldn't bring change, as he said he was, if you wanted stability in money markets, because evil is stable, so you can't have stable markets and overthrow evil. He said, too, that he was going to continue Bush's foreign policy role. That's why, even though he said he was going to help the Haitians, he went right back out there and unhelped them. That's right. 3, here's Clinton with a story. This is before the Republicans took over the House and the Senate. This is February of '94. Budget seeks to kill 115 programs. This is the Milwaukee Journal, and it's saying how President Clinton will propose killing 115 programs to save $3.2 billion, etc. A couple of weeks ago, the Republicans cut 115 programs. What am I saying? That Clinton's strategy and Gendrick's strategy is the same strategy. And you'll get all confused to think the Republicans will fight the Democrats, when even the Democrats the other day bumped on Clinton to say Clinton didn't got with them, he done sold our ass out. As that little sister from Georgia lost her congressional district. Anyway, just want to let you know there is continuity in social programs. 3 is, I told you how Spike Lee took the S and how we stopped wearing the S. I know Robert got on one. And how the X got taken away and now it's stuck on the lost generation of white kids. And it's the X-Files, some spooky movie on Fox station. And I told you that that was a crime that they took it, but now that they took the X, here's Kurt Smoke in Baltimore trying to take the red, black, and green. He used campaign posters with his Kurt Smoke in red, black, and green. So when they asked him, said, "You being a racist?" He comes, oh yeah, cameraman, come on, get it, I'm sorry. He says, "I'm not being a racist. That red, black, and green don't mean black liberation." He says, but Smoke campaign manager Larry Gibson said the colors are not for liberation, but for Baltimore. He said the black and white are for the city's diversity. Red represents the city's past struggles, and green represents the promise and growth in its present and future. Now they had already took the X from you. Are you going to let Marcus Garvey roll over in his grave and they're going to take the red, black, and green too? Negroes who are willing to turn things over for white people. You saw that black man bow his damn knee, stand up there and accept them hunkies' apology for nothing. Said, "We forgive you." Nigga, you ain't in a position to forgive all this pain you done suffered.
Sure, that's right.
The Hebrew Israelite community. In the Jewish Weekly just a couple of weeks ago, and I ain't got time to pull the article out, but the Hebrew Israelites are going to get citizenship, brother, in 1997 in Israel, but not as a Jew. And what they have done is they have rescinded the God-given Azaziel, yes. And my point to it is that they don't have a right to make safety and security in the moment worth pronouncing our right as the chosen people. They don't have a right to sell it away. You may go in the Soul Vegetarian and eat you a good meal, but ask them next time you go there, why are you selling out the black community for easement with the state of this bill? Furthermore, this section is dealing with blacks who are betrayed. Here's a story in the Scottish Rite magazine in February of '95, when we went through that Masonic temple. They had a story in there about the merger that's going on between Prince Hall Masons and Scottish Rite white boys. And it says, for the first time in history, called Prince Hall, this is the white magazine. This is from the House of Mother Supreme on 16th and RS. It says that on December 14, 1994, the Grand Lodge of England recognized Prince Hall Masonry as duly constituted and recognized. And I've asked last week in Dallas, and the week before that in New Orleans, and the week before that in Oakland, and the week before that in Pasadena, California, if you are a Prince Hall Mason, don't let me catch you cutting a deal with this hunky who can't trace his lineage back to Kemet, and he throws you down at the bridge and walks your ass back to the pyramids and then kills you all because you brought him back in. After years of disrespecting you, this white boy is now asking for the Prince Hall boys to unite. And now 10 lodges, 10 states have recognized Prince Hall and started merging in with the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, under which all Prince Hall lodges are constituted. And I suggest any of you who are in the Prince Hall Lodge, I've never attacked you personally. I've raised questions about selling a secret to a person you didn't make. But I will tell you, if you get in the bed with that monkey, I will fuck y'all out the lodges, and we will grab your ass out the lodges, because you ain't got the right to bring that monkey back in the picture. No more than Hebrew Israelites got the right to pronounce we the chosen people. No more than this punk got the right to forgive all the monkeys. And that's what I said, that the black man is being set up to rescue the white man from a fight with a co-white man. Watch them real carefully out here every day. They're setting it up, and we got to cut their ass off at the pass and make such a relationship uncomfortable. Those of you who signed up for that Grassroots 2000, I'm going to call you all within the next couple of days and announce to you I got to go out and get a room for us to meet in. But I told you about what we're going to do about collecting these articles on the future. Those of you who signed up, I'm telling you the only way you can get into that meeting is to bring an article or a book on the future and throw it into the floor. I have asked those people who have gotten together at the National Black Leadership Summit, why don't we go all around the country and lay the enemy on the table? And let's take pictures of piles of names being thrown in the middle of the floor. Said black people organize around the names of the enemy. And just send pictures all out to white America of all these piles of names and books and directories and insights into white people so that the visual impact of, you know what's next. Because it will take a whole lot for us to defeat the conspiracy to say it's no conspiracy. And that's something we have to vouch for. But I really think that we can do a great justice to our community by having a futures organization. I hope, Robert, I can convince you about that in LA, and Jamal, I hope I can convince you about that in, Richmond, I hope I can convince you about that in LA. And those of you in other cities, as I get to them, we're going to be setting up a futures club. The brother Copley is going to use the first formula, Grassroots 2000. There's another formula we're going to come into Washington, the Video Action and Communications. But it ain't going to come till later till the Futures Club gets lined up. Grassroots 2000. It's just something we need to do to be able to work on our preferred world. So you know this guy out in Topler, he's all into New Gendrix and stuff. And you got to watch him. New Gendrix is owned by Murdoch, and Murdoch is owned by Rothschild. And he sleeps with Rockefeller and Oppenheimer, and they're a junta of three that surround the beast. Our goal is to penetrate the core of negativity and slay the beast, and nothing on earth will stop us from that mission. That's what you feel and see, as we talked earlier, is that we are consistently going forward to destroy the core of negativity. So as we move into the summer, I warn those Negroes in the community who have failed to cooperate. And one of the things I said, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you have a better analysis of the enemy, what I say? Bring it forth. There you go. have a better analysis of the enemy, bring it forth. But if you don't, then I'm expecting you to ratify that. And let's get on with it. Check? Check. All right. I really want to thank Brother Bond for putting up the money that we could be here tonight. Brother lost money for us to be here tonight. This job to stand up and try to say this is a firefighter. In every city, we need to organize the firefighters and the policemen and the garbage collectors and the street makers and others that we need. The brother made a sacrifice. Everybody in the movement to come forth makes a sacrifice. And there's no joy and no glory. Many people look out at this and think it's a lot of fun, a lot of glory. When you get up close to it, you see it's loaded with pain. And you got to be able to eat pain and glory in the same vein. I've mentioned that to you in the past, and I also said this to you, that on the path you will meet people of like character, and with them you will form a bond that needs no utterance of mere words. Check. Check. I really appreciate the 61 of you, plus the 44 of you who bought those tickets at Jews of the Time, just about 100 for coming forth. Those sheets are pretty strong back there, and I suggest to you today, mark the day, this is July 1st of 95. By July 1st of 96, you will be overly proud that you remember the night I asked you to come forth, because in 1 year's time, you're going to be stunned by what this futures thing looks like and all the other things that are going to go forth with it. Again, I appreciate all of you for coming forth. I appreciate you, Brother Bruce. I appreciate you, Brother Jamal, for coming here from LA to add and clarify for us. I appreciate you, brothers, coming up from Richmond. I even appreciate you, Brother Hebrew, sometimes. I appreciate Brother Buddy here who called me 50 times to protect this lecture. I did not want to have anybody videotape it. And he said, brother, this needs to go on DC cable. And I said, I'm kind of profane, to be honest. He said, well, that one day running from Boston is pretty profane. And Sister asked me about my profanity during the break. And I'm not necessarily proud that I cuss and use language to exclaim or magnify the issues that I'm working on. She said, brother, I see a lot of frustration in you. I hope you aren't selling the people hopelessness. And I said, sister, one of the sayings that I use that I forgot to say earlier is that hope is dope. And the reason our people have never come forth is that they always think, God will come from the sky. And God lives in each and every one of us. And we will have to activate the God in us to make it happen. Nobody's showing up. If there is a God, he needs to be slapped for letting all this happen to the chosen people. So I even challenge God to come forth and do what all. But then again, I read these white boys say the Bible is a conspiracy to trick people into salvation in another life while the hunky still listening. Listen soon for a major lecture here in September called The People Who Come From the Earth, Keep People Who Come to the Earth versus the people who come out of the earth. The white boys went over there to the pyramids and found out they were aligned with the stars, and they were because you walked amongst them. This other guy been in the deep down room of the cave. He's still looking at cave art with animals on it. You can't go to Kenya and find no animals on the wall. But the white man respected the animal like God because he's a beast. I thank you all for coming. One last thing. Don't forget July 11th in the George Avenue Cafe. July 15th at Sojourner Douglas in Baltimore. And look at this, Washington Post, April 29, 1995. One World Conspiracy prompts Montana militias call to arms. It suggests that who's ever speaking on one world conspiracy is an indicator that they're prone for violence. They have used this issue to get towards the people who are the conspiracy theorists. So again, make sure y'all protect my family.